Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to November 22, the live show for November 2022. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, editor here at Arcade Repair Tips. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself. He's a little late, but he apologizes for that. He's glad he's here. Tim Peterson. Tim, how are you?
Good. I am running a little late today, so sorry about that. But we're going to have a good show tonight. Thank y'all, those of you who are already here.
And those of you who stayed.
Yeah, appreciate your patience tonight. Just one of those days.
Yeah, I like, Jason says, hey, Jonathan, and running late, Tim.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Well, Tim, this is episode 69,
wow,
believe it or not. So we've done quite a few of these shows, guys, but we're glad that you are here tonight. We are going to be answering some of your questions on Arcade Repair. Of course, if you want to interact with us during the show, you can leave your comments and questions in the live chat. Tim, we have several people here tonight. We have YouTube Punk is here. The Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. Colorado Mile Highful is here. We're going to be covering your question tonight. I've got that in the outline. We have Nate Berg is here. We've got the Regzer Show's here. Jason is here. Of course, Delusionals Arcade's here. Tim, we have a whole slew of people here in the live chat.
A lot of regular guys.
Yes, exactly. We want to thank all of you guys for being here this evening. So, Tim, a little late. I know you've been really busy. So what's been going on before we get into all the arcade stuff?
Well, I've got a trip coming up, which we'll talk about now. I'm going to South Carolina in a couple weeks, and I'm taking a vacation. First time I've been off Thanksgiving week, and I can't tell you when. So I'm doubling up on the work to be able to take that trip and stuff. So I will be near Beaufort, South Carolina. A lot of you know where that is. Of course, would love to hang out with anybody. We'll just put that out there if anybody's in that area and would like to or know some arcades that we could check out. My son is on Marine Base there, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind checking out an arcade or two with me, while I'm in town. So that makes double work on the day getting up. You ever take a vacation, John, but you pay for it?
Yep.
You have to work extra. That's kind of how it is. The work doesn't stop, but I do get some time off. And my friends, we talked about this before. My friends from Germany, from Cologne, Germany, for those of you that are overseas and familiar with Cologne, when I took my trip to Cologne, they're coming to see us. Oh. And they don't normally celebrate Thanksgiving, so they want to know what's an American Thanksgiving like. So we're going to have turkey dressing and all the usual stuff. So, my wife kind of expects us to have the house in pretty good shape, so a little extra cleaning, a little extra decorating and stuff, but I'm really looking forward to my friends coming down for a week. So it seems like it's going to be off to a busy holiday start. I know, and you've just finished a really busy holiday for you.
Well, we just had Halloween, obviously. Hopefully you guys had a great Halloween. I don't want to get too much into it, Tim, but we always have a big crowd here. I think we estimated about 350 trick-or-treaters came by the house, Tim.
Wow.
And I didn't put any arcades or anything out. We just had that many trick-or-treaters. But it was always great to see all the kids in their costumes, and I always enjoy Halloween so much. It was a fun time.
One of my favorite memories, John, is remember when we had Halloween at my house? And we had a Wizard of War, and we never could get the light working in it, right? And it would just kind of like, zzz, zzz, and it would kind of flash on and off. And we said, what the heck? We just put it out in the driveway and let the kids play it on Halloween, and it kind of looked spooky and stuff. And we had a Dracula pinball. Anyway, one of my best Halloween memories was the time we drug some games out and let the neighborhood play. So imagine getting to trick or treat and go play a few pinball and arcade games. That was kind of fun for them.
Yeah, I wish I had the setup for that. I guess if you have a front-facing garage, that kind of works the best. People who I've seen who put games out. Unfortunately, I have like a very tiny porch, and so I don't really have room to put like a game out there. But maybe one of these years I could do something like that. But I tell you what, the weather was beautiful. We had a really great time. Hopefully, you guys had a great Halloween, and we'll talk more about that, I think, in the after show. So
all right.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about that a little bit more. But let's get started here, Tim. We've got several questions in the outline tonight, and so we'll be covering those as we go. Tim, tonight's episode has been entitled Wrestling with My Blank Screen.
Okay.
And the first question has to do with just that.
Okay,
so let us go here to our first question. That's from Chris. He says, I had recently got a WWF WrestleFest arcade machine, and my monitor comes on, but there is no picture. Even with brightness all the way up, the screen displays no picture. I was told this happens after someone I was told this happened after someone moved it to the place I picked it up from. I'm not sure where to start because I've played with all the monitor controls and still have no image. I have tested all of the RGB lines from the JAMA harness to the board for continuity, and it's all there. The screen makes a sound like it's cycling through what should be displayed. Is the PCB or the monitor toast? So that's what we have here, Tim. So we have Chris here. Pretty standard, straightforward thing, just not getting a picture. Oh, there's some more of his question here, Tim. All I see is a black screen, like it's on, but no display. Please help. The fuses are good. Power supply is good as well. Is it possible to exchange the CRT for a regular old school TV monitor and put it into the chassis, or are these things screen specific? So he's giving us kind of an out here of maybe we should go with the TV. But Tim, what do you think is going on with Chris's monitor here? And what do you think he can do to get it back up and running?
Well, we come across this all the time, and this is a very common question. In fact, so many of the regulars in here tonight could probably scream the answer. They already know it. But we're going to go through it for Chris because there's a real simple test that we're going to do. We want to know, is the game playing? Can we hear it?
Right.
Because if the game is playing and we hear it, but nothing is on the screen, then we would say that it's playing blind, that there is something going on, but we can't view it. And just like if somebody covered up our eyes and we were blind, we were playing, but no screen. So if that is the case, then we know we probably, because he's already sounds like what we would do. We'd mess with the monitor and we try to check the wiring and make sure that we're getting everything up there. If it's playing blind and we're getting nothing up there, then we probably have a monitor issue. Right. And that's where we would go with that.
And I will say, he doesn't specifically tell us if the game is playing.
Right.
He does say the screen makes a sound like it's cycling through what should be displayed. So I think when he is saying that, that would lead me to think playing blind.
That's what I was going to say. In his specifics, though, he does say a couple things that make me think it's playing.
Right.
Okay, because it's cycling through. Those are some key words. So if that's the case, then we know that he is having an issue in his monitor. Right. Now, a lot of things, just because your monitor is not working, didn't he say that he turned the brightness all the way up? And he didn't see that. See, even if your game board is not hooked up and you turned up the brightness and your monitor was working, you would see the screen get really white, or, it would change colors or something like that, would become bright, might be blue or green, but it would get bright. If that's not happening, he's probably got an issue with this monitor chassis.
Right.
So he would need to send that off or repair it. And but it could be, if he's not playing blind, or it still could be a game board issue, but it's not as likely.
Sure.
And so those are some things that that's why it's always great. If you have one game, you got to have two, right? Because then you could switch the boards and see if it's a board issue. Or we've done this a lot of times, butted two games back to back and hooked the monitor up to the other one to see if it was a monitor issue. That's kind of an easy way to do it. But more than likely, I think it's probably a chassis. Don't you, John?
Yeah, I think we've got sounds like a pretty classic case of playing blind. Paul Gervais here, he says net glow. Are you getting net glow? That's a really great test to see if it's actually working. And Delusional does say the same thing that you said, Tim. Turn up the flyback brightness and see if you get a brighter black, right? Or see if you get a white. That's kind of a good way. Because we're trying to determine here whether or not, Chris, you've got a monitor issue or whether you've got a board issue. But from your description, the fact that we're getting some sound, maybe at least a little sound, Tim, like it's working, would lead us to believe probably you have a monitor issue.
And we also want to make sure we're getting power to the monitor. He said he checked some of the wires. It sounded like, let me go back and see what he said. He said that he checked some wires and stuff, but RGB lines.
Right.
But did he check the actual power, which is separate? It doesn't get its power from the JAMA harness.
Right.
It will get its power separately. So we want to make sure that it's actually getting power. And you guys all know you went back there, it'll be a blown fuse or whatever, or a bad wire connection or something. We want to make sure that we're actually getting power. And like Paul said, if you are getting power, you'll see that net glow. You'll see something in the dark. is a good way to see that. Back of the game cabinet, you always see that usually first thing.
Right, exactly. So let's go ahead and throw this up here, Tim, for everybody to see on the outline here. So kind of like we talked about, Chris, first off, we need to determine if it's a game board or monitor issue. Power on the cabinet and see if you can play a game without the monitor on. You may need to coin it up, hit the start button in order to start a game. If you can hear the game playing but don't see anything on the screen, then you probably have a monitor issue. Okay, so that's what we call playing blind. Otherwise, it's probably a game board problem. Yes, it is possible to use an old school TV in an arcade cabinet. Tim,
correct.
did ask that.
Yeah.
You can try connecting directly to the RGB on the TV board. Tim, there are some videos on YouTube. I know Delusional said he's got some things like that. But where it's got the where you can actually plug into the RGB signal on the TV itself. I've seen a couple videos out there. You may be able to find those. You can also do a tube swap of some kind. That's very common. You can also find a chassis for your TV tube, which is common, or use a video converter board. Those are some other options if you want to use a TV. But to be honest with you, you should be able to do all this just by repairing your chassis. You may not need to go with the TV.
Yeah, I would make that. We have a testing a monitor tube video that he could watch, but I would probably suspect that it's a chassis problem. And if he doesn't want to tackle himself, Paul would be a great guy to send it to so that you could get that fixed, and relatively inexpensive, even by today's standards. Everything's gone up, but Paul makes it pretty reasonable as far as that goes for the time and stuff that it takes to do it. So good luck with that, Chris, and keep us informed. Was Chris here today?
I don't think he's in the live chat tonight.
All right. Well, we will. Chris, let us know. Get back with us, and we can help you troubleshoot any further if need be.
Absolutely. So, Chris, hopefully answers your question. And good luck getting the picture back on your WWF WrestleFest arcade cabinet. Tim, one of my personal favorite games. I love that game. It's a really fun one to play, especially if you've got all four guys going at it. In fact, it's probably one of the first ones I remember playing when I was a kid, because my dad worked when I was growing up. All the truckers had their little break room, and it was one of the arcade games that was in the break room that they always played. So
well. We'll give a cool story, because I know you guys like these stories sometimes when we tell them. One of my best friends is Mike Page.
Yes.
And you remember how we met Mike Page? He was actually running a wrestling school. So a school that trains you how to be a professional wrestler here in Tyler. And we had a WrestleFest for sale. And he bought the WrestleFest so the guys could play WrestleFest when they weren't wrestling. So I don't know if that's a tongue twister, but it sounded like one. So can you imagine? And we've been friends now for 20-something years. So a WrestleFest led to a great friendship. So fond memories, great game, and good luck on getting yours fixed, Chris.
Absolutely. So. Okay, Tim, I'm going to check back with the live chat real quick just to see. Omega Marcus here. He says, hey, guys, our video's a little out of focus. Hopefully we fix that. It actually autofocuses, Tim, but if it doesn't see our faces, sometimes that autofocus will get a little wonky. So hopefully that'll fix itself.
I'll try to be still.
Here. Right. Let's see. Encore's Arcade says, good evening, professors and fellow students. I guess we all are here. That's great. Let's see who else we got here. It looks like everybody else we're caught up on. So, Tim, I think we will move on with the outline.
Right.
So the next one we have is from Greg, the Rugser Show, Tim. And the Rugser Show won our soldering iron and AC voltage detector from the last show.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully you received it, Greg. We hope you did. And if you would like to be entered to win another set of a little portable soldering iron and an AC voltage detector, you can send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, I think we need to give a password this time.
Okay.
So you will need to put the password in the email when you send it. Tim, come up with a password on the fly. I'm going to put him on the spot.
How about WrestleFest?
WrestleFest sounds great. So if you would like to be entered in the contest to win our portable soldering iron and our AC voltage detector, send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you put WrestleFest somewhere in the subject or in the body of the email. So that way I know that you were watching. So I know people were trying to cheat the system, Tim. I saw some emails come in early yesterday.
Okay.
So in order to not cheat the system, we're going to need the password. That's right. We need the password. It's like, what was that old game show password? The password is...
Yes.
The password is
WrestleFest.
WrestleFest. So make sure you put the password in there. Contest@arcaderepairtips.com if you would like to win. So, okay, Tim. Well, let us move on to this question from Greg, like we said. I added a Mr. Video card to the edge connector of my Donkey Kong PCB. A Mr. Video card is a unit that allows me to screen capture my arcade to OBS, which is, broadcasting software, Tim, for recording and streaming. It appears to be pulling more power as I had to up my 5 volts on my power supply to 5.4, which seems high. Yeah. We would agree with that. Where do I check the actual power to the board? On the board. Also, my PCB uses a power connector from the main board to the secondary board. Is it better to run separate power pin cord to the second board? Now, Tim, he's asking kind of 2 questions here. He's a little high in his voltage, okay? Just a little high. And so 5.4 is more than we're usually comfortable with, I will say. We're usually no more than about 5.1, right?
Right.
And so he is turning it up to 5.4. Now, he does have this extra video card on there that's helping him capture, and so that may be part of the reason. But he's asking us, like, how do we check the voltage to the board and through the board, and then what do we need to do about that secondary power connector? Okay. So how do we check the voltage to the board first?
Well, the easiest way to do it for me would be to unplug the edge connector.
Right.
And find that pin. And before it's even plugged in or anything, run a voltage check right there at the pin. So, in other words, at the edge connector or with it plugged in right at the pins where those come in, or the very edge of the connector. This is what I'd do first, though. I would check it before it's even hooked up to the board.
Gotcha.
Then I would push it down onto the board, but right at the bottom, you can still see a little bit of that copper that's coming down, the little bars, teeth, if you want to call them that way. That you can see those, and I would check it there. Now, on a Donkey Kong board, though, a lot of Atari boards actually have test points.
Right.
I don't think the Donkey Kong board has those per se. That's why I really like the old Atari boards where you have test points you can test on the board. So what you would need to do is basically look at the schematics and follow the flow chart. Where does the 5 volts go? You could check it at where it stops. Where does it go? To go to a capacitor? A lot of times checking it on a chip specifically. The IC chips, the last pin on the left would be the ground, and the last pin on the right would be the 5 volts. You could check it there on a chip itself. So there's multiple places that you can do.
We'll talk more about that here in a second. I wanted to show that because I think that's a really good way to do that. But Tim, as for the secondary power connector, what do you think about that? That's a typical setup, right?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about why it's taking so much, but you know what? I've seen weirder things, and anytime that I have something that I would probably, in his case, recommend that you just run a separate power board. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a power supply, like a full 2 power supplies in there. It could be something as simple as like that's 5 volts, as long as you can splice the wires off of a charger or something and use it. But I would recommend that you run just a separate one in this case to try not to have to turn your other voltage up to get this to power. So it's okay to run 2 separate ones like that.
So the big thing here, Tim, is what I'm really curious about is you were talking about testing the power at the edge connector.
Yes.
And so what I want to know is I would test it with that Mr. Video card on.
Yes.
And see what it is with how much. Basically, we're going to see how much draw are we getting off the Mr. Video card.
That's a good point. With and without it, how much more are we drawing? And obviously, before this, it was probably working just fine, and he probably didn't have any issues. But now he's having to crank up the voltage to get both of them to that almost worrisome level to me. Mm-hmm. And I may not be entirely correct. It may be okay, but to me, you're getting up there to where it worries me.
Right.
And so I would look into that.
Okay, well, I'm going to put up this slide, Tim. And like I said, I wanted to mention the IC chip stuff. We'll talk about that here in a second. But like you mentioned, Tim, to check voltage, getting to the board, turn off the cabinet, unplug the edge connector, power the cabinet back on, and check the voltage at the voltage pins of the edge connector. And so, and like we were talking about here, Greg, we would definitely do it with the Mr. Video card attached. so we can see basically what is coming out past that Mr. Video card. What is the voltage that's actually getting to the board, right?
Right.
So let's talk about checking voltage on the board. Like Tim mentioned, some boards have test points, but let's say you have a board that does not have any test points. That happens, okay? And this goes for a lot of different boards, Tim. What you can do is locate an IC chip, okay? And you will see, this is a 16-pin IC chip here, Tim.
Okay.
And you can see that the way that the pins go is that usually if you're looking at the top, which is where the notch is, the one immediately to the left is pin 1.
Okay.
And then it goes counterclockwise around the chip, okay? So you go all the way down the left side, all
Back
the way
up.
up the right side, okay? And so typically on an IC chip, you will find that the last pin on the left side, okay, which in this case is pin 8, may be
Okay.
different depending on how many pins your IC chip has.
And
but
the
it,
first...
right, and the last
top
pin
pin.
on the right? So you have a ground, usually, like in this case, it'd be pin 8. If you had a 24 pin, it'd be a little bit different, Tim. Your
Right.
ground would be at pin 12, typically,
Right.
right? It'd be half of it. So it really depends on how many pins your IC chip is. But locate an IC chip, and then you can measure the voltage getting to that IC chip by basically taking your multimeter, putting your ground prong or your black probe on the last pin on the left side and the last pin on the right side, which is actually the one that would be to the right of the notch in most
Right.
cases. So this will tell you exactly how much power this chip is getting.
Right.
And which is what you want to know. You want to know, what am I getting power to the chips on the board? Are the chips on the board getting the power that they need? This will tell you that.
Yeah, so if you're at like 4.98 or you're at 5.10, you're probably okay there. But if you're reading 5.4 here, there could be damaging or something to this chip.
Exactly. So
that's what my concern would be.
Right. So you really want to make sure that this is really close to 5 volts here, okay?
Right.
So if it is too much, you'll need to turn it down, okay? I mean, like we were talking about, 5.4 is high. But again, if we test it past the Mr. Video card and we're only getting 5 volts there, then the 5.4 should be absolutely okay, right, Tim?
Exactly.
So, but if we're checking out our power supply, remember our power supply is just outputting whatever it's outputting, okay? So we don't know what the draw is of the Mr. Video card at that point until we test past that point.
Right. So the Mr. Video card may be actually drawing a lot of that 5.4 where it's not that bad on your chips or on your board.
Correct, exactly.
So that's what we need to kind of find out.
Right. So just keep that in mind. For those people who want to check voltage at your board, this is the easiest way to do it if you don't have the test points. Now, Tim, I put this setup would be fine. I know you recommended go ahead and running the extra power connector. It really doesn't matter, I don't think.
Not if you're okay on the board. That would be my stipulation.
And here's the thing, you can check the voltage there as well on that secondary connector and see what it is. And if it is low, maybe you consider running an additional power adapter from your power supply there, right?
Yeah, and I've just seen instances like when we were at Chuck E. Cheese where here would be a great example. When all games used to take coins, right?
Yes.
And what does everybody take now? A reader.
Yes.
Right? Which requires 5 or 12 volts or something to make it come on and power up and run an LED. Well, guess what that did? Really, a lot of times we would have to run a secondary to power it. We still had to run connecting wires and ground it through the system so that it would realize when you passed the coin. But it was put in such a bind, we were going through power supplies left and right, that we began to run a secondary power supply for those.
Gotcha.
So that's just a kind of a real world example of, at some point you just said, why am I replacing my power supplies left and right? Or the game would act wonky and do crazy stuff. Once we put this separate power supply in there, which you could tie right into your AC voltage. And that's why I said it was it wasn't like a linear power supply like we find in most arcade games. It would be like a brick power supply like you would see that goes to an LED TV or your laptop or something. We would literally run a wire like that and just run 5 volts off of it, not really high amps, but enough to power that board.
So the only thing I'm worried about there, Tim, is if the power supply is actually putting out the 5.4 and that Mr. Video card is draining off enough of it that the board's getting 5, if we run directly off the power supply to the secondary board, are we going to send the 5.4 directly there? So we have to be very careful with that.
Very careful with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're sending 5 volts to that. And so that's why I was kind of hesitant, I think, to say that we want to run a separate power supply. Now, if I mean, it may be fine, and I still think it'd probably be fine, but to me, I would leave it intact as it is for now, unless it's just too low.
Yeah.
So if that power's just too low, then you may consider...
and I'm always thinking you're adding on an additional component. Think of it like your car. Right. Your car battery and everything. Let's say you want to add LED lights all over your car. Most people run separate something up there because your car is made to run a certain amount of things, and you just don't want to overstretch it either way. Right. So just be careful. Greg, just keep us informed on what you actually decide to do. You may have even updated some, Greg. I know you're in the chat room since you sent in the question. So keep us up to date. Let us know. I know you're a regular here, and we appreciate you. But hopefully that helps you some. Hopefully, right. I like to always think about the top of the notch is a U shape, John.
That's right.
And when we draw a U, we go this way.
Right.
That may be backwards on screen, but you know what I mean. You go from down and then back up. When you draw a U, you draw like that, and that's how I always remember which one is pin 1 and which one would be pin 16 or the last pin.
Right, exactly. And like I said, that pin, this is just a 16
always
pin
the
chip.
left side of that U.
Right, exactly. This just happens to be a 16 pin chip, but again, you may find ones that have more pins. Same philosophy applies though. Last one on the left, bottom one on the left, top one on the right.
Gotcha.
So there you go. I think that does it. So, Greg, hopefully answers your question, and I hope you're enjoying your soldering kit and your AC voltage detector, and hopefully that helps you out with your Donkey Kong arcade game.
Okay.
Tim, before we move on, Jumping General, and he's got a couple of questions in here tonight as well, but he says, I picked up a Gorf dedicated game that has been sitting in storage for over 25 years. What do you recommend checking internally before plugging it in the outlet? What is a game like that worth?
Oh,
okay,
nice.
So what would you check? 25-year-old game, don't plug it in yet. What should I check before I do?
Okay, the first thing I would do is give it a good vacuuming, cleaning, blowing out, get as much as that old dirt and stuff like that. Make sure that it's in pretty good cleanliness shape. You don't want no telling what could be that in the back of that thing. So get it pretty clean. That would be the first thing I do. The next thing I would do, and I will always we say this all the time at Arcade Repair Tips. We always start at power. Mm-hmm. I would check before I ever plugged it in. I would check continuity on my power cord, make sure that it's not brittle or broken. Especially 25 years, they didn't make those with the best cords back in the day anyway. Make sure that cord's still in good shape. Then follow the power through. Make sure your wiring and stuff is in pretty good shape.
Would you unplug the board and check the power before turning anything else
before
on?
I ever turned it on, I would unplug the board. Because you want to make sure that we're not doing what happened in the next one. You send too much voltage or there's an issue and then it could damage your board. Although that's not super likely because if the board's already damaged after 25 years, whatever, they turned it off for a reason.
Right.
They weren't playing it.
Right.
So it may not work anyway. Don't get discouraged. I would check all the fuses and stuff. All this before we ever turn a game on. Those are some things. I would clean it good. I would check the fuses. I would check the power without the board plugged in. I would even probably unplug the monitor the very first time just to see if it's getting power and all that before I went and plugged everything back up and tried it. But, you know, I say that, and there's probably been a dozen times we just fired it up and went from there, you know.
Right.
I mean, the chances of that thing actually kicking on and working, I'm sorry, are probably not super good, but you never know.
So what do you think it's worth, Tim? Like, let's say it was fully working, 25 years. It sounds like it's probably in good condition.
Every time I turn around, a dedicated classic games are just going through the roof. Even inflation has hit arcade games, I believe.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm probably not the best person to ask that question. Maybe, how about everybody in the chat room want to chime in with what you think?
What's a Gorf? Yeah,
what's it worth?
A working, good condition Gorf worth?
Wise man said one time it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And you might be in an area of the country where it draws more attention. You can check the eBay sales and see about that. A lot of people like to post auction results and see. But, you know, any classic game is, they're almost all bringing at least $1,000 now. Maybe
if it's in good condition,
decent condition, somewhere.
So Connor just
$700-800 would be my guess.
Connor just chimed in with $800.
Okay,
I think that's about what you're saying. You may be a
that's
little higher.
That's just a guess.
Yeah. So we'll see who else comes in. But yeah, let us know. I think that's about right. Bobby
and
says
not what it's worth to me, what it would be worth to just the average
Bobby says
collector.
900 in the Midwest, 1,700 in California. That's
Okay.
about right. That's about right.
Right?
Yeah, the California collectors out there, Tim, they pay top dollar.
Right.
So I mean, it does depend on your location as well.
Oh no, my house is worth $2 million just in the wrong state.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, if you moved into California, it'd be worth $2 million easily.
Easily.
So, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, but we'll see what else you guys chime in with. But it's interesting, Tim. I think if it's in good condition, I'd say anywhere between 500 and 1,000, depending on the condition. Like if it's pristine, I think 1,000's not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh,
if
easily.
If it's just in good shape, then you're probably looking closer to 500, 600, 700 probably. I think it just depends on the actual shape of the cabinet. So
I don't know. I haven't seen one for sale in a while, so
it's true.
It'd be interesting to see what you could get for it. But we gotta get it working first. Non-working is only going to be worth something to collectors like us, and they're not going to want to pay much for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get it working and, test the waters.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Tim, well, I think we're caught up. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Connor. And I don't know if this is Connor. If you're in the live chat tonight, let us know. But we did have one sneak in, Tim. I did not have this on the outline, and he wrote it in, and I was like, okay, we're gonna put it on the outline. So we did. So Connor writes, I have an original Battlezone and the game plays blind. Here is what I do know. The monitor is a 19V2000, Tim. All boards have been tested and work. I was sent a video of the game playing when I sent it out for repair. So he sent the boards off, the game boards, they work, right? We know that. The game is getting proper voltage at the power supply. All fuses are good and all the fuses on the chassis are good. All the bottle cap transistors have been tested and are good. The deflection board has a red light that stays on. The board sounds like it's making noises, like it is chittering. And I do not see any net glow. I was told that is okay for XY monitors. Sometimes that is true. I am at a loss for where to go from here. Any help would be appreciated. Again, keep up the great work. Thanks, Connor from Lake Nebagamon.
Yeah.
Wisconsin. There he is. He's here. I'm not good at pronouncing names, Tim, obviously. But that is where we go from there. So, Tim, I underlined a certain part of this, that deflection board has a red light that stays on part.
Okay.
And I think that may be key to you and something that may be going on with it, right?
Right, exactly. That's what you like, the spot killer LED. That's what we talked about before. And you can go and throw up slide if you want, John.
Before we get to that...
But that is an indicator that you have an issue. Yeah.
Yes.
So the constant on is a problem.
Yeah. So the spot killer LED, when that is on, typically it has something to do with not getting a signal.
Right.
Or there's some sort of voltage issue.
Yeah, it's telling you there's an issue right here.
Right, exactly.
And that's a good... sounded like he troubleshooted very good, by the way, Connor. But the stuff that you did check.
Right. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, and we put this link down below, Tim, is that there is a very good black and white frequently asked questions guide that you can get. We have a link to it down below in the show notes, Connor, so you can see that. Highly recommend going over that. That guide is fantastic. We've been using it for years, right, Tim?
Yes.
So, for years we've been using it. And it is a very good guide on how to troubleshoot black and white vector monitors like this one that you have.
Right.
Okay? So,
and that's basically where we're going to get our answer from.
Yeah. So a lot of the information actually came from that.
That come from that because it's so good. Right. It just makes it real easy. And you get that from Crazy Kong, right?
Yeah, there's some other places that guide can be found.
That's one where we recommend.
The one thing that we will say is that I did pull some additional information outside of that guide as well to help you out. Mm-hmm. And so that is, but here's the deal with Spot Killer, Tim. It can be really hard to troubleshoot.
Right.
Good
As
Lord.
I say, it's just telling you there's an issue.
Right.
But where's the issue?
But the one thing I will say is don't bypass it.
Okay.
Do not bypass it. Fix it. Golly,
Okay.
And I know it can be frustrating as all get out, Tim. You can go on to some of these forums and see people who have had Spot Killer, and there's just post after post after post after post.
And that's a key word. Even the information we're going to give you, I hope will help you. But that is the key word for what they're going to call it as a Spot Killer LED, and that will help you Google more information, even that beyond what we're going to give you right now.
Right, and so we're going to give you some. Most of this is from the guide, like we mentioned, but I did pull it out for you so that way you would have it. So it does sound like your Spot Killer LED is on. So here's some steps you can try. Okay, so you can try to reflow the solder on the P600, P700 header pins. Okay, that's very common. Check the output transistors. So the Q608, 609, 708, 709, 10. Make sure that those are functioning properly, please. You mentioned that your fuses are not blown.
Right.
But what I would say is make sure they are the correct value.
That's a good point.
That can make a difference in this. So, Tim, according to the manual, it should be a 2 amp fast blow for both of those. So if you have a different value in there, fix it.
Okay.
Get you 2 amp fast blows in those positions. And Tim, you say this all the time. Just because something doesn't look like it's blown doesn't mean it's not blown.
Exactly.
Okay, so trust your meter. Don't trust your eyes. Okay,
right.
I'm going to repeat that. Tim says that all the time. So, I mean, that's his thing. But trust your meter. Don't trust your eyes. Big time. Okay? So, and make sure those are correct values. Okay? And like I said before, do not bypass the spot killer circuit. It is there for a reason. It is there to keep your monitor from blowing up if it gets too high a voltage or getting like permanent burn damage or other things like that. That is why that circuit is there. And so you do not want to bypass it.
Okay.
You do not want to bypass it. You can. There are ways to do it. I'm not telling you how.
Right.
Okay. Because you do not need to bypass it. And Delusional says the same thing. FAQ is great. It even recommends what components to upgrade in order to make them more reliable. That is correct. This FAQ is fantastic. So if you, it will help you. But here's the thing. The FAQ does not answer everything, and you may still have questions past this point. We are giving you a starting point here,
right?
Okay, because that spot killer is one of the most problematic things to troubleshoot. Tim, we've seen it before.
Yeah, and we have to preface with saying that, and we said this before, black and white monitors have never been our area kind of expertise. I come along right after everything went to RGB. Most 99% of the monitors we've ever repaired were not.
Well, I was going to say...
But we have had some luck, and this is how we fixed it.
True, and I seem to remember a Star Castle.
Yeah, we have
So,
Star Castle.
I mean, we've had our run-ins with the black and white vector monitors before. I'm not saying that we haven't.
Right, it's not like we don't have any experience. I'm just telling you that this is probably, like you said, because it's difficult to me. And
because it could be a voltage problem. It could be a signal problem. It can be a lot of different things. And so, we give you the starting point, but you're going to have to trace back through some circuits and things to really figure out what's going on. And so, hopefully what we just told you will totally fix the problem. And there won't be anything. Sometimes it's nice, it's kind of like these are the common things to check, but you may need to go deeper than that in order to get it. But as long as that LED is lit, you will need to continue to troubleshoot in order to get it on. Because basically what that circuit does is it shuts down the whole monitor until it's getting what it wants.
Right.
Shuts down the whole monitor. So you've got to figure out what it wants. Okay. Tim, is there anything else you got before we move on?
No. Anything in the chat room?
He says much appreciated.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, good, Connor. I hope that it helps you. Sounds like you're really off to a good start, even with what you did already. So just take those steps, and by all means, be sure to write us back if you need more help with it.
Absolutely. So hopefully that gets you started on your problem. Let us know if you need additional help in the future. And Connor just sent in $20. Thank you, Connor. You are awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we hope that you get that Battlezone up very, very soon. Tim,
what a cool game! I love Battlezone.
I was going to say I'm going to tease
jealous.
something here. I went to the National Video Game Museum, and they did have a Battlezone there, so
fun.
I got to play Battlezone for a little bit. It is a good game, and I hope you get yours working because it is a lot of fun to play.
All right,
so
cool.
There you go. Okay, and we will be talking about the National Video Game Museum here in a bit. I'll talk about my trip. So it was really cool. Anyway, so let us continue on, Tim. The next one we have here is from Colorado Mile Heifel, who was in the live chat earlier. Hopefully you're still here.
Okay.
So let's get to his question real quick, Tim. He says, what is an AR board?
Okay.
I have one in my Sky Shark that I think is bad. It's an old game. I can't find one. Is there a solution? Sorry, I'm not knowledgeable regarding this. I'm trying to get it working again. Thank you. So, Tim, we have a Sky Shark with an AR board. That seems weird to me.
Right.
But we've seen stranger things.
Right.
By far, we've seen stranger things. So, Tim, what is an AR board, and what does Colorado Mile Heifel need to do in order to get his game back up and running?
Well, they're called, AR stands for Audio Regulator Boards. And so not only do they help with sound, they also kind of work like a linear power supply. They control the voltage and stuff like that. It's interesting that it would be in a Sky Shark. Normally you see AR boards are very, very common in Atari games.
Absolutely.
So see them in a lot of Atari games. I don't know if it was an Atari...
Yeah, I'm not a he. It's a she.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Terrible with pronouns. Okay.
Right. And so, well, that's a great question. So, it may have been a conversion, is what I'm thinking, because Sky Shark is JAMA, right?
Right.
And so what they probably did, it might have been an Atari. You think that it could have been an Atari game before? Look at the cabinet. If you want to send us a picture, you might not need it at all.
Right.
Because unless I'm trying to think, and chat room guys can feel free to kick in. What else besides Atari game has an AR board in it?
Well, here's the thing, Tim. I really think this was probably a conversion.
Yes, I do too.
So what probably happened was that it was an Atari game of some sort.
Now they could use it because
Right.
it does send out voltage,
Yeah.
and the right person. It seems like a lot of work to me.
But if you didn't have a switching power supply that was readily available at the time,
You could use it.
Right, exactly. You could definitely use it. And so, what happens here, Tim, is that somebody converted an Atari game to a JAMA cabinet. So they
Yes.
converted the Atari game to a JAMA cabinet, put Sky Shark in here, and left the AR board as the linear power supply. And you can do
Right.
that. I mean, and it was a conversion from a Sega Gremlin.
Okay.
Okay, so there you go. So in a conversion happenstance that happens. So they'll leave the AR board in there as the power supply because
Right.
it does give out the right voltages in most cases.
Right,
So
but
you're
it
still getting your
also-
5 and your 12 in your things.
In the older game, the previous game, it was also regulating the audio, so that's how you would get good quality sound.
So that part's probably not hooked up anymore. Or if it is, it may just be an amplifying circuit.
Right. Sky Shark should not require that board because your sound should be built in on the JAMA board.
Correct.
And so you shouldn't need it.
Right. So if it's not working, so like let's say you're not getting a power to your board, Tim, she should be able to go with just a standard switching power supply as a replacement, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, that's what we'd recommend in this particular case. So, Tim, I'm going to throw up the slide here so we can take a look at that. So, like Tim mentioned, AR boards are audio regulator boards. They were used in many classic games, especially Atari games, like Tim mentioned, to act as an audio amplifier and linear power supply. So Sky Shark is a JAMA game, and as such, should not require the AR board as the audio amplifier is built in the game board. Now, with that said, your AR board may still function as a power supply, okay? So the way you'll know is, if this is the case, you should be able to remove it and wire up a standard switching power supply in its place. And you want to make sure that you follow the JAMA wiring pinouts during the conversion process. The way that you can know if it's hooked up or not is to see where the 5 and 12 volts lines on your JAMA harness go back to. So if you trace back, if you look at your JAMA harness and you have the 5 and the 12 volts, trace those wires back and see where they connect. Okay,
Right.
So if they're going to the AR board, then you'll need to replace that AR board with the switching power supply in order to continue to get voltage to the game. If they're going to a different power supply in your cabinet, because we've seen that before too, where you'll have an old AR board and the switching power supply, right? If they're going to a different place in your board, a different power supply in your board, then you can safely remove that and be okay. From what you're telling us, it sounds like this AR board's still being used as a linear power supply.
Could be.
In which case, you will probably need to get a replacement switching power supply in order to take it out.
Or she asked the question, where could she get one? Well, that's one of the reasons why nobody's reproduced them, why you don't see a lot of them for sale, is because they're so easy to rebuild.
Right.
Now, you can get a rebuild kit for your AR board, and you could do a little bit of soldering, replace a few caps and stuff, and probably fix your AR board if that's a route that you want to go. But I don't know if we'd highly recommend that route.
Some people would argue, I don't know if I will, Tim, but some people would argue that the AR board is a better power supply than a $30 power supply you can buy right now. Some people would argue that. There may be people in the chat room that are arguing this.
Okay.
If you are in the chat room and you think that the AR board is actually a better power supply than a standard switching power supply that you would buy off the shelf today, let us know. I'm curious because some people would argue that, Tim.
And like I said, there's not a lot to them. You can rebuild one in about 30 minutes or less, and then you'll have a working AR board. So a lot of people, my point is, a lot of people don't replace it, they fix it.
Right.
Because it's not that hard to fix.
Now
There's not a lot to it.
They're saying here that it comes after the transformer and then to the switcher. So, I mean, that's not uncommon. Sometimes people will sometimes it sounds like you're saying transformer. I don't know if that's the isolation transformer or if that's like an all-in-one power brick that's doing AC voltages and isolation transforming for the monitor.
Yeah.
We may need to get some pictures from you. So if you want to send a picture of the inside of your cabinet, let us see what you're dealing with. That would probably help us a little bit more.
A couple good pictures.
Right. So questions at arcaderepairtips.com, because now I'm trying to get a picture of the setup.
And
but if that is an AR board, it's very possible that it's still powering your cabinet, right?
Yeah, if it's hooked up, especially.
Delusional says it depends on if you disable the sense mod or not. LOL. on the linear power supply. Yes. Okay. Like I said, some people swear by those, Tim. Like they swear that that's the best power supply, and they are easily rebuildable, which is like Tim mentioned, which is super nice. So I mean, some people just use them as power supplies, right? And even in games.
Yeah, so you could Google AR rebuild kit, something like that. I mean. There's going to be plenty of suppliers that sell that.
But if you want to make sure that what you're looking at is actually an AR board, take some pictures of the inside of your cabinet. Send them to questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Me and Tim will take a look at them, and then we can give you a little bit better answer from there.
Yep.
Because I mean, we got the question, but we don't necessarily know what you're looking at. We need to get probably a better idea to give you more.
If you go back to the slide, John, if you like you said at the top, that is what an AR board looks like. Would you show the screen one more time? Yeah. The top up there, that's an AR board. The bottom is a switching power supply.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I put these on here so you could kind of see.
Yeah, I'm just letting them look at it one more time. So if you have or need an AR board, it will look like that thing on the top.
And you can send the pictures to send an email to questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Attach your photos to that email, and we will get them. So me and Tim will get them. So that's probably the best thing to do. Email questions at arcaderepairtips.com and attach your pictures, and we can tell you what to do. So here's some other things here, Tim. Let's see. Omega Mark says switchers create more dirty noise, electricity. Old transformers are cleaner. So there you go. I was about to say you can argue this. I mean, I'm not saying that it's right either way. Let's see. Jason says it's a JAMA PCB. Just run a switching power supply for simplicity. And I tend to side with Jason on this, Tim. I would say JAMA PCBs, we typically run just standard switching power supplies.
And we have videos that show how to do that, and so that you can, if you'll Google us and how to run a switching power testing a switching power supply, you'll see how we hooked up one.
Our wiring a cabinet using the JAMA standard, Tim, I think has a video of that with how to wire it.
And that's how you could do it and bypass that.
Yeah. But send the pictures over, and we'll try to help you out further. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about AR boards and what their purpose is and all that good stuff. So
hopefully so.
We'll leave it there.
All right.
Okay, let's catch up real quick on the live chat, Tim. Let's see. Jumping General says, best place to buy cabinet locks for my Double Dragon, Galaxy, and Operation Wolf. They look like original style. We really like Twisted Quarter in Arcade Shop. So twistedquarter.com, arcadeshop.com, great places to get locks. Of course, you can get them from cabinet lock suppliers too, Tim. You could really just go down to like Home Depot and get them. But if you're like us and you want all your games keyed the same, which is very important to us, we order a whole batch from like Twisted Quarter.
And you can get spare keys from them.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Or a whole batch from Twisted Quarter or from Arcade Shop or any kind of arcade parts supplier will have those typically in stock.
Hap will have them.
Suzo Hap, of course. Suzo Hap, though, has a minimum order quantity.
Yeah,
that's
and that
the only
could be
thing about
a little bit more expensive.
Right. So, I mean, that's the only reason when Tim was working for Chuck E. Cheese, they ordered parts from Hap all the time. When you're always going to meet the minimum order, it's not an issue. But if you're just ordering like a handful of them, you may not meet that minimum order standard. So, Twisted Quarter though and Arcade Shop sell the same lock. It's just that they're usually cheaper than Suzo Hap just because they buy in huge quantities. So, but try those for that. Let's see. Encore's Arcade for a friend. If he were to turn on the monitor without a remote board hooked up, what kind of damage would my friend have caused? You can do that. Typically, it's not going to work because it needs those pot values in order to dial in the picture. You will get something, but the picture will look pretty awful typically, right, Tim? Right. That's what we've had in our experience. So, I mean, we don't recommend hooking it up without a remote board of some sort, but you will, if you turn it on without a remote board, typically you will get something on the screen. It will not be what you want, but you will get something on the screen. So if you're just like, I just want to test to see if this monitor works, I don't care about the remote board, or I'll find a remote board later if the monitor comes on. Typically, you can turn on the monitor. It'll give you a picture of some sort. You'll at least have an idea of whether or not the monitor's working, but you definitely do not want to run a monitor without a remote board for any long period period of time. Is that what you would say?
Correct.
Okay, there we go. So you can find remote boards over the place. If you need one, just find the chassis, and there are some places that will sell. And there are some people doing reproduction now. I've seen reproduction K7000 remote boards for sure, Tim. And there's some other models out there too. Delusional may know some places that sell the new remote board replacements. I've seen some places that do now. So I think we're caught up. Cool. Okay. Let us move on to Daily Fun 3, Tim.
All right.
And they say, I have a multi-game cocktail table with a jammer board, and the monitor goes to sleep. Okay. Sleep mode. So it actually says I'm assuming it says on the screen sleep mode. It started slowly doing it and unplugging it, plugging it back in several times, resolved the issue sometimes. Now it continuously goes to sleep mode. I bought another power source, checked the cables, and used the different monitors, but the issue persists. Now, Tim, he says it is a JAMA board. So whatever is causing this, it's like, and it seems like the problem has gotten worse over time.
Right.
So from his description, it sounds like at first it was only doing it every so often, and now it's doing it all the time. And it doesn't matter if I switch monitors, Tim.
That's the key word right there.
Doesn't matter if I switch monitors.
That's interesting.
It still goes to sleep. So, Tim, I think we have to assume that the problem's in the board, right?
I believe so.
Or, I mean, now it could be power. Okay, we're not gonna rule that out. But
yeah, when I first read this question, the first thing I thought is, well, you got a monitor power supply problem, or your monitor is is being told to go to sleep, like a sleep timer,
right,
or something accidentally set. Kind of how you can set your TV and then you're watching it and you go to sleep and then it'll go off. That could have been the case, but the fact you tried a different monitor, now it leads me back to something's going on with your board that's causing the signal to die or not sending out signal. Your monitor just going, I'm not seeing anything, I'm going to shut down.
Right.
No matter what monitor you put in there, so it has to be a board issue.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here, Tim, just so we can talk about it real quick. Monitors typically go into sleep mode if they are not receiving a signal from the computer or game board, in this case, powering the cabinet. Since your cocktail cabinet is using a JAMA board, it could be either power issues with the board or the board itself, like we talked about, Tim. Not a monitor issue, because obviously you've changed out some monitors. Now, start off by checking the voltage, getting to the board, make sure it is correct. You may need to adjust the power supply if the voltage is too low. If you can't get the voltage dialed in, you may need to replace the power supply. Now, Tim, so in this theory, what I'm thinking is that, okay, the power supply may be a touch too low on voltage.
Could be.
And so when he starts playing a game, it kind of kicks over into that mode, processor kind of kicks up, starts pulling more voltage, and all of a sudden,
it's not enough.
It drops below an acceptable range and shuts down the board. Okay, so that's kind of the theory behind that, okay? Why we're saying we want to make sure that our voltage is high. So you can try turning it up to 5.1 on the 5 volts line, Tim, like we talk about. It may need a little bit higher, and see if that makes a difference, okay? But if it doesn't, then you probably have an issue with your JAMA board. And since it's just some generic multi-game board, probably best just to buy a replacement. Yeah. So, and the picture I have here, Tim, is one of these Game Elves, which is a very common board. Pandora's boxes, all those kind of things. You can buy replacements for those very easily. So,
yeah.
I mean, but they're not very expensive. I think most of them run around between $30 and $50, sometimes more, depending on how many games it has on it. But I mean, you can get a replacement board that should be pretty inexpensive. But you want to make sure your voltage is good, because you can go through 100 game boards. If that voltage is bad coming from your power supply, it's still going to do the same thing, right?
Exactly. You don't want to damage another board by doing that.
Right, exactly. So, okay, well, there you go. So, Daily Fun 3. Tim, anything else for him before we move on? Or?
No.
Okay, well, hopefully answered your question, and good luck at getting that cocktail multi-game out of sleep mode. We'll say it like that. Tim, let's see. Colorado Mile Heifel just sent in $40. What a donation. Wow. Thank you so much. That is much appreciated. We are so grateful for that. We're glad that you found our content helpful, and hopefully we can continue to help you out with your problem.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get those pictures in, and we'll try to respond back via email and see if we can help you out further. So thank you so much for that. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, so. And we'd love to. So don't forget to send us those pictures, because we're pretty sure we can help you even further, and maybe we can even do an update next live show.
Sounds good. So thank you so much. Game. Tim, we have Cameron here. He says, hey guys, I listened to the podcast, but this is the first live show I made it to. Greetings from Nashville, but my hometown isn't far from you in Edgewood, Texas. Tim,
oh my goodness,
we used to have some games when we were operators in Edgewood.
We had an arcade in Edgewood.
We did.
At a paintball place. Yeah, paintball. We had some games there.
Yes, so there for a while, and they actually got broken into. Sad story. We had to take them out. But
they beat the heck out of our games.
They definitely did. Literally beat the heck out of them. And so, sometimes you cut your losses, guys. As part of being operators, is that not everybody is so friendly to your equipment, which is why when you have all your games at home, they're all safe. You're safe, guys. Nobody's going to beat you up here, I promise. So, but when you have them out on location, you just never know what's going to happen.
We learned why operators have those big bars that go across them and thick locks.
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, how cool. Highway 19 just north of Canton. We know exactly where you are.
Absolutely. Or where you were.
Yeah, where you were.
So there you go. Let's see. Okay. I think we're caught up. So Jason says, he also said replacing the VGA cord might help. And that is a great point on that last one here, Tim, with Daily
Yes, thank you.
So if you're using the same VGA cord for all those monitors and your VGA cord's bad, could be the same thing.
I hadn't even thought about that, but he's right. And I've seen that before where we had a bad VGA cord and we're replacing everything in the world and we're like, did we never replace the cord? Yep. It was like the cord. You're right. That's a good point. Thank you for chiming in with that.
That was Jason.
All right, Jason. Thank you.
There you go. Okay, so Tim, let us move on in our outline to our next question from James. And James says, "Hi, I'm a new Miss Pac-Man arcade owner, Tim. New.
Always a good day.
The machine I bought appears to be all original. I had a quick question. When I bought the machine, the screen was aligned perfectly. Then suddenly one day, I powered it up and the screen was misaligned, like what you see in the picture. Considering I never owned an arcade before, is there an easy fix to realign the screen? Thanks, James." Now, Tim, I know you're looking at this monitor and you're thinking to yourself, it's pretty.
Yeah, it doesn't look beautiful. Too bad.
There is a hair, though, and it's really hard to see. If you look at the left side of the screen, you can kind of see it.
I do see where
there's
it's
a little fold, right? Yeah. Just a little bit, and you can see it just a little bit on the left side. There's just a hair of fold. Now, Tim, for many people, this would be a non-issue, I will say.
Right.
But James is a first-time collector, and he noticed this difference, and it definitely is a difference.
I believe that.
So, what's going on with James's Miss Pac-Man here, and how can he get that little fold out of his picture there?
Well, you can watch our video on adjusting an arcade monitor because sometimes it can be adjusted out. It might just need a little bit of tweaking.
And when you move a game, Tim, we all know the adjustments move with it, if that makes sense. So, like,
they do. It doesn't take
much for like one of those adjustments.
Rattling, bouncing around.
Right.
Those kind of things.
If you're on Louisiana roads, isn't that what you always say, Tim? If you're driving a game and you got in the back of your pickup truck on a Louisiana road.
Texas is getting just about as bad, John.
That's
we
true.
used to brag, but I don't know that we have bragging rights on the best roads anymore. I'd say driving across the street, across your game room, I have seen stuff like that happen. But what's probably happened, you're having a little bit of fold over and stuff, it's probably time to do a capacitor, a rebuild cap kit, what we call it, on your monitor, which will require a little bit of knowledge, but it's a great starter project. I would enjoy playing it for now, but then you could order your cap kit and try to do that with just a little bit of soldering experience. I would definitely say it's a great thing if you're going to own a game. First thing I always tell everybody, if you're going to own an arcade game, you better learn to work on them because there ain't nobody coming. There ain't nobody you can call.
There's no cavalry.
Yeah, there's no cavalry. These days, you can't even find an operator anymore.
That's true.
So you better learn how to work on them. But you know what? This is not an extremely hard fix. It's probably just time that it's starting to... And the more you play it, it's probably not going to get any better. So we need to probably do a cap kit, or you can watch our videos and you can learn how to pull that chassis and send it off to a nice guy like Paul, who would definitely do a great job and have that looking even better than you are noticing right now. If you're noticing that, they can have it looking 100% better. So it's up to you, whether you want to do it yourself or have somebody do it, but it probably is time. I doubt that it'll adjust out, but it'd be the first step that we'd try.
Absolutely. Now, here's the deal, Tim. Considering that this just happened and it's very minor, I do think that the possibility of adjusting it out is higher than usual.
Maybe so, in the fact that it probably moved it like you said.
Right. So
it's worth a shot.
Right. I do think you may be able to adjust this out. Typically, when we see fold, it's a lot worse than this. Okay, this is definitely a mild case of that. And so with that in mind, I do think that an adjustment here may make all the difference to you. But like Tim said, if we're starting to get fold over, probably looking for a cap kit, right?
It's just a good thing to do, especially... I like how he starts it off. I just got my first. Right. Hey, there could be more coming. So it would
always be optimistic.
Right.
There's more coming.
You never forget your first. And I'll tell you what you can do with that. You probably want to, if it's a game you want to keep, then I would definitely go ahead and do the cap kit, just because that thing is 30 years old and stuff, and I doubt it's been rebuilt, and it's just time to do that. and that way you can have it looking good. But of course, you know, it is good to try to adjust it out first. But if you're going to keep it, well, it might as well go ahead and rebuild. It'd be a great project.
I think I put the slide up too early.
Okay.
You weren't finished talking. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read the slide now. Is that okay?
I'm reading. I'm looking at the slide and talking. Go
ahead.
Okay,
there we go. So, James, let me summarize what we said here. First off, try adjusting the monitor. See our post on adjusting an arcade monitor for more information. Try specifically line frequency and hold adjustments. Okay, so if depending on what make and model your chassis is, those are typically the ones that we're going to do in order to help this kind of little gentle fold over. So see if you can get that image dialed in with those. But if you can't get it to your liking, like Tim said, maybe time to go the cap kit route. You can see our post on installing a cap kit for more information. You do need to know the make and model of your monitor chassis and you need to have a little bit of soldering experience, right, Tim?
Yes.
In order to accomplish this, cap kits can be purchased from most arcade parts suppliers. And Tim, we have a whole list of arcade parts suppliers on our website at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. So if you go there, arcaderepairtips.com/resources, you will find all the parts suppliers you could ever want to know.
Yep.
So there you go. So, and if you need a soldering iron,
you can
win one if you're here. So I have this soldering iron kit. I have this AC voltage detector. We're going to remind all those who maybe came in late, Tim,
right,
that you have a chance to win these if you will send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com with the password WrestleFest somewhere in the body or the subject, and some lucky winner out there is going to win this soldering iron kit, which is not great, Tim, but it's great for a beginner and great in your travel toolkit, the one that you take to go repair games like we do.
It's free.
Exactly, it's free. And an AC voltage detector, which is really handy for knowing, you know, whether or not you're getting power at your plug, which is really important. So, highly recommend that. But again, if you want to win this, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Send us an email there, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. And make sure you include the password
WrestleFest.
There we go. So WrestleFest in the body of the subject. Some lucky winner. Tim will pick a number at random.
Right.
And he knows when I do this because I text him.
Right.
I say, pick a random number between like 1 and 12. And then he will give me one, and that's the winner. So he has no idea who you guys are. I know who you are. I just take the one, you know, wherever he puts it in line. So there you go. You will randomly win. So I think that's
pretty random.
It is very random. So speaking of random, not really.
Okay.
We're kind of random. But it is time for that special section of the show where we rapid fire questions at Tim.
Okay.
We call this quick questions and answers. So we have 3 tonight, Tim. 2 of these are from Jumping General, who was here in the live chat with us earlier. And then one of these is from Roger, Tim.
Okay.
So we're going to rapid fire 3 questions at Tim real quick and see if he can give us some answers, guys. So here are the questions for this evening. So the first one from Jumping General. My speaker is bad. Is it okay to use a 500-watt car audio speaker in my Galaxian arcade game? So he wants to use his car stereo speaker in his arcade game, Tim. The next one is, when transporting games in a truck, is it okay to lay the game on its back, or is upright best? It won't fall over when it's on its back. I just don't want to damage anything. And then we have Roger, who says he has a centipede and his screen is rolling. Okay, continues to roll. It was working yesterday. He said we covered a similar issue on episode 27, but he can't seem to locate it. So, Tim, why don't we answer that again for him? Okay. So we have 2 from Jumping General, 1 on replacing a speaker with a car audio speaker, 1 on transporting games, and then 1 on a Atari Centipede with a rolling screen. So, Tim, let's take those one at a time here. So, his speaker is bad, Tim. In his, Galaxian arcade game, can he put that big 500-watt bad boy in there?
Well, it's a funny question. He wants the booming Galaxian, and I think it would sound awesome, but I think it's probably, you're going to have some kind of amp or something to power that. So probably the best bet would just be to get an arcade game speaker, which plenty of our people supply, and just replace the one that's in there.
They're cheap, right?
Yeah, they're cheap. I mean, you know, less than $20, you're up and running. Now, having said that, I don't know. You tell me. I think that would be awesome if you could.
You get it good. You got to get amp in there for it.
You get some thump. Yeah, you have to have an amp or something to push it. But I think that would be interesting, if nothing else.
Okay, next question from him. Is it okay to lay games on their back when you're transporting them?
It's perfectly fine to do that, knowing that stuff can get loose and travel, but it can do that when it's standing up.
True.
And you don't have quite the wind resistance and stuff when it's laying down. Sometimes your bed gate will close, and you don't have to worry about it falling over. I understand that. We have moved probably 1,000 video games, and probably I would say half of them have been laying down and the other half laying up, depending on how easy it was to pick them up. Games are so heavy, I can move one laying down by myself.
Yep.
And but I can't do it standing up, not easily. And so I would definitely probably have another back surgery if I tried that. So use some wisdom. Now if it's a very rare or some game you're really worried about, we have taken the board out before and wrapped it in bubble wrap, something, kept it in the seat while we transported the game just so it didn't fall. I was thinking games like Miss Pac-Man where you have a daughter board and stuff, or a thick board set layer. But if it was a newer game, had jam on it, was screwed in, and I couldn't shake or move it, it was just fine. Just be careful. Use a little common sense. But by all means, there are probably people out there would say never, ever do it. And then there's we've done it a lot of times, probably at least 400 or 500 times that same way, and never had any issues.
There you go. And then the last one, Tim, rolling screen. So what do we do? Centipede, rolling screen. How do I fix that?
Well, it's probably just a simple hold issue, and we have a Justin Arcade monitor video, and that's all you got to do. You can watch our video, but just find the holds and try to adjust and tune it in.
Sounds good. So let me throw this up on the screen here, Tim, so we can see, kind of summarize what you said. So the first one on the speaker issue here, Tim, not sure if the audio amp on the PCB can drive that many watts, Tim. The manual calls for a 6x9, 8 ohm, 9 watt speaker, which is a lot of difference between 500. So probably best to go with a replacement speaker from an arcade vendor. And Tim, we have down below, we put this link, but this is to, I believe, Arcade Shop and their selection of speakers. Delusional also chimed in, says needs to be shielded. That is true. That you don't want interference with the monitor, Tim. If it's not shielded, sometimes you'll get that.
Good point.
So make sure that you do get a shielded speaker as well. Very, very important. Tim, as far as laying things on their back, we've done it all the time, like Tim mentioned. You do want to check to make sure everything inside the cabinet is secure. This is very important. Make sure everything is secure, okay? Because, like, Tim, as you know, there's loose stuff all in the back of cabinets sometimes. And as soon as you flip that bad boy over, what happens to all that loose stuff? It goes all the way down to the back door, right. and it just becomes a mess. So do make sure everything's secure. And Tim also talked about taking out important things like the board and putting that in the front with you. Not a bad idea at all. And Roger, anytime you have rolling, scrolling screens, usually a hold issue, you should be able to adjust the hold settings on your monitor chassis to fix the issue. So,
is that an actual picture of Old Red and us hauling games?
No, that is not. That does look like it, though. Actually, that picture was from our friend Jess Rothy, Tim. Okay. So if you remember him. So that's actually from his website there, so we give him credit for that.
Well, you see, he has 2 games in there.
He does. We've done that before.
Yeah, and that would be pretty tough to do standing up by yourself especially, but I can load 2 games like that.
Yep, sure can. So there you go. So, Tim, I think we did all the rapid fires there. Delusional also says the only thing you can't transport on its back is a candy cab. It will crack, and that is true. Candy cabs can be very brittle on the back. You have to be careful.
They're a lot easier to pick up and do upright.
Yeah, typically, yeah. Kind of like that's.
By all means, if you had the choice and the game wasn't hard enough, I would prefer them standing up, just because there is a chance of stuff like that when they're laying down. But 90% of the games that we talk about in here would be just fine.
Yeah, if it's a solid wood cabinet, Tim, it's probably okay.
It's probably okay.
So there you go. Well, I think we're covered here, Tim, through all the questions. We did have one from Nate Berg here in the live chat. He says, I have a Carnival that's operating and is randomly ups and dies until I restart it. The monitor stays on, marquee is on, but the game stops until a reboot. Sometimes it lasts for weeks without fall. I suspect the switching out the power supply may solve the issue. Game plays perfectly with 0 issues, just sometimes ups and dies without a reboot. Yep. Tim, we've seen this before.
Sounds exactly like a power supply.
About to say NFL Blitz. I have one over here. Same thing. It did the exact same thing. It was dying. Like, you would turn it on, it'd play for a while, and then it would just die. And Tim, I did give away on this, and this is the I think that has an ATX style power supply, like Blitz and things. So on those, Tim, if those fans start dying, that's like a telltale sign that the whole thing's going to go out soon. Those things need to stay pretty cool in order to keep the electronics from heating up too hot. And so if you've got dead fans in there, definitely replace it. But almost every time we've seen this, Tim, power supply issue, right?
Yep, almost every time.
So there you go. So go ahead and replace that power supply. Those are more expensive than the standard switching power supplies.
Now, you may just try to dial it up a little bit. Sure. You may be right at that point, like we talked about earlier, checking it at your harness or at your board may tell you may just need to dial it up just a notch.
And Carnival's a light gun game, Tim, and typically anything like that, light gun games,
5.1.
they take a little bit more of a beating, and so their power supplies tend to be jostled a little bit more than like your standard game. And so, like Tim mentioned, turning it up a little bit can definitely help. So, okay, Tim. All right, we're done with questions for tonight. Well, at least the outline's worth of questions.
Okay.
So if you guys still have them, please leave them in the live chat, and we'll get to them for sure. But Tim, I traveled somewhere this time.
Wow.
Last time you've been traveling all over the place, going to South Carolina here soon. But one of my good friends from church was like, "Hey, I want to go to the National Video Game Museum, and I know no other person I'd rather go with than you."
There you
I
go.
wonder why. But I was like, well, sure, I'll make the pilgrimage to the National Video Game Museum. So we did. And so I want to just show... Now, these pictures are not my pictures, Tim. These were pictures that I took of things we saw. Because most of the stuff's pretty generic looking. I mean, like, all the pictures that you see online are pretty much what the museum is.
Okay.
And so, like, we were having so much fun looking at stuff, we didn't take any pictures. So all these pictures are ones from, like, their website to just give you an idea. Now, the first thing I will say is that they have a fully functioning token-powered arcade in the back. Okay, which is really cool. And so I'll show you guys that in a second. But here's some of the setups that they have here just to show you. So, Tim, they have this little corner that's kind of like a replica, like video game store, like right at the end of the video game crash, which would have been like 81, right? 82-ish, something like that. And so, like, it has all these clearance video games and everything, and you can see the storefront here. And they even have a bin, like, of discount games. And the cool thing about the bin is that they're all in these cases, because you can tell that they're probably the originals. But they have the discount stickers on them from the original retailers, which is really cool. So you can kind of rifle through that and see what games are going for. But that's one, I think a lot of people have seen that, like in some of the pictures for the National Video Game Museum. Tim, to the right, is a replica 90s bedroom.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. This would have been like from 91, 92-ish. And you'll see that obviously this is in Frisco, Texas, Tim. So there's a Texas Ranger banner up at the top there. There's a Cowboys pillow on the thing. There is an NES with a light gun and duck hunt on the screen over there. There's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's a couple of posters there. You see a pole position poster up there. But and in the drawers, there's like cassette tapes and stuff. So you can like search through all the doors and see like some of the stuff that I probably had in my bedroom when I was a kid, to be honest with you. All sorts of kind of random toys and stuff like that. But really cool, this kind of setup, right? Yeah, it's like it's supposed to give you the feels. I think that's a Donkey Kong up on top of the shelf there, Tim. Yeah, like you used to have.
Looks like I did have that one.
Yeah, you had one just like that. So just a cool setup there. I think a lot of people who have seen the pictures of the Video Game Museum have seen this kind of stuff. So we'll go on here. Now, Tim, this is like a huge Pong setup here. So over to the side, you'll see the computer space cabinet, right? That's to give you an idea of scale of this thing.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so to the left, that's computer space, and then you can see how big this Pong display is. It's powered by a projector that's at the top that comes down, and those paddles are about like big Frisbee size.
Oh, wow.
You know, then you can actually play Pong there, which is really cool. Here we have like a replica 1980s bedroom, or 1970s probably more, like family room with the wood paneling, with an Intellivision with Burger Time is what we played.
Man, I had that clock up there, I think.
And I think that has a Betamax up there. I don't think that's actually a VCR up there. And one thing this picture doesn't show is the little wood panel photo frame that I feel like every person's family had in the 70s and 80s. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like, I remember my dad had like pictures of his bowling league and stuff like that in it when we were kids. And of course, pictures of us. But, and you've got that nice blue sofa there. You have like a rotary telephone and some other things. The dog's playing poker in the background there. There is the picture frame. You can see the picture frame there.
There's an Intellivision on the...
Yeah, I was about to say. So the Intellivision was playable, and we played Burger Time, and it was fun. So that was cool. And then here's the arcade. Here's some pictures of the arcade here, Tim. So you can see some of the games here. So they did have these games. So you'll see a Sunset Riders Pac-Mania there in the first one, Spy Hunter, Video Pinball, Tim, which we know is a pretty rare game. I think our friend Eric has one of those, right? Mm-hmm. And so, very fun game, cool little game. You don't see too many of them. Donkey Kong. And Tim, when I got there, the high score on Donkey Kong was like 10,000. Oh. I'm like, I can beat that.
Right.
I ended up getting about 40. Okay. My average on Donkey Kong's about 35. My all-time high is 105.
All right, so you're not taking out anybody's high score.
Well, I took out the top guys. Like I said, he only had 10,000, so I was like, well, whoever the top guy was, I took you out pretty good. But, obviously, I'm not a pro.
Must be resetting every day.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So they had a Frogger, Robotron, Pac-Man there. And, Tim, these cabinets look beautiful. When you pay for your admission, they give you 4 tokens for the arcade. Oh, how cool. Okay, so and it is token. They have a change machine there.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so it is a real functioning arcade, right?
Nice.
So here's some of the ones that we played. We played this Gauntlet, Tim, which was beautiful. I played the Michael Jackson Moonwalker because I just have so many fond memories of that game. You know, I mean, so my arcade growing up here, Tim, in town, we had a Michael Jackson Moonwalker. I played that thing all the time, and I still like that game. I know people diss on that game now with all the Michael Jackson stuff. I have a kit for that still.
You do?
I have a kit. I wish I could. I need a cabinet, but I have the kit. So, Rexer Show says, let's see, 936,000 is his high score. Well, you're beating me by 800 and something thousand then. I am not the best Donkey Kong player for sure, but I do enjoy playing it. So, and it is brutally hard. If you're getting 936, I can see why you put the video card in to watch your plays. Because, you know, that's obviously something that you're getting into. And Tim, I got to play Tron, and whoever's playing the Tron, they had some good high scores on that thing.
Okay.
So that thing was that thing had the high scores racked up. I did end up getting, I think, 10th or 11th place on that. But I only got through 3 levels, which is about what I usually get through. I get through like the first 2, and then the 3rd level starts killing me.
Tanks always get me on about the
like the third level tanks are tough. Golly, they always
for
get
me. Anyway.
Like I can do the MCP cone's pretty easy for me. Light cycles I can usually get pretty easily. The spider one, whatever that's called, you know, I can usually do pretty good. But man, the tanks are killer.
Yeah.
Tanks are killer. Golly. But I enjoyed every moment of it, and Tim, I loved that it was I love putting tokens in. I literally walked around with the tokens in my hand and like feeling that feeling was cool. It's been a long time since I walked around a fully functioning arcade with tokens in my hand.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? So that was cool. I mean, people were complaining. I heard some guy saying, well, I could just go to free play and play all these for free. It's not the same.
No.
Like having the tokens in your hand, knowing you only have a limited amount of tokens, and going around and playing the games that you want to play with the limited amount of tokens, there's just something about that.
Well, actually, I haven't done it since I've been in New Hampshire at a token bar.
Yeah, you actually went to one.
That's right.
So, but walking around and having the tokens in your hand and like flipping them and stuff, I'm just so used to that. It just brings back such memories. So, look, I love free play here in Texas. Tim, free play is one of the premier arcades here. They've got locations all over the Dallas Fort Worth area. They are awesome. Okay, not taking away nothing from them. Just having the tokens and going around. And whoever does the upkeep on that arcade, it was beautiful. Every game was working. They all looked very restored. Good. There were some monitor issues here and there, but nothing, I mean, normal stuff, Tim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're going to have some monitor issues. You just can't keep them all. Did they have a zookeeper? I believe they did.
Okay.
They did have a zookeeper. That was from Delusional. So Cameron says Donkey Kong was his first cabinet. That's a pretty cool first cabinet of things to get. So, but yes, they did have a zookeeper there. So I remember seeing it. So a lot of cool stuff there. And like I said, the games were pristine. Beautiful condition. So it was literally like taking me back to my childhood, walking around an arcade with tokens in my hand. And it was packed, too. There were a lot of people in there. But like I said, I also think that with the tokens, I mean, you get 4 when you pay for your admission, so you're going to play no matter what. But it also, I think it keeps the games in better condition because it's like the games are getting played all the time like they are at a free play arcade, right? And so like people are only playing them if they're getting paid to, if they're getting pay in and everything. So, you know, was the what was the high score on Zookeeper? I did not see. I just saw that they had a Zookeeper. I didn't see what the high score was. So, but I'm not a Zookeeper guy. But I mean, I play it. But I only had 4 tokens. I played what I wanted to play. So I would have played more if it would have all been free, right? So yeah. Okay, but it was cool. And if you're ever in Frisco, you should go check it out. Tim, there's in that little museum area, there's a couple other things that you can see there too that are really cool. So
Frisco is a suburb of Dallas that's just north of Dallas.
Pretty far north.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we went to the Dave & Buster's. I had my bachelor party at Tim. It brought back a lot of fond memories, and I actually replaced my old Dave & Buster's card that I've had for like 20 years.
Wow.
Because they moved my stuff over. They're going to the tap cards.
Oh, okay.
And so my old card was
sad.
Pretty broken. They didn't give me the tap card. They still gave me the barcode card, but she said she couldn't move it over to a tap card for some reason, my old one. But she said once you move it to that, I can move it to a tap card in the future.
Okay.
So, but I get to keep my card. It's all cracked up and broken, and I have a label on it that says my primary Dave & Buster's card. I'm very sad over it because
it may be in the arcade museum one day.
That is true. So, but I have like 1,000 tickets on it, so you know I definitely want to keep all that. So, let's see. Omega Mark, I need to hear that sound of a token dropping in a coin door when I play. It flips a switch in my head. Absolutely. When you hear it going through the coin mech, and it goes boom, and it falls through and hits that switch. Oh man, it's awesome. And you see the game light up and say press start to play. Oh, something about it. Nothing like it. It's not the same as putting on free play.
It's not the same.
So, Okay, Tim. Well, let's talk about a couple of things that happened this month while we wrap it up here.
Okay.
We did have the Prime Early Access sale was this past month, Tim, where Amazon decided to put some stuff on sale. We also had some other deals come up, and I just wanted to kind of do a summary of those things so you guys could see. The Blitz, which is currently selling for about $600 in most places, was down to $539.99 for the arcade one up. The Simpsons was down to $215.28 or $199 at times. And Tim actually bought one of those.
Nice.
And it's in the other room. Because, man, for $200, that's a great deal. Plus, you can mod it to play, to do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well, which I did do. I already modded mine.
Nice.
And Tim, this Pac-Man for $269.10, which has gone up now. I think it's $299. That is almost an identical replica to the Cabaret cabinet. I mean, it has a riser, but if you look at the way the screen is slanted and the way that the marquee is set back,
Has the wood look.
it is as close to the Cabaret version of that game that you're gonna get. So I mean,
For
for
that
sure,
price, not too bad.
for $300, I actually think that's probably the best deal out of all of these. If you want something that's pretty close to an actual arcade. In an arcade one up. We have the game room sign that was about $30. We had a Pac-Man sign that was about $28. And the Tim, those video converter boards, that's one of the Gombus like 8200 series that does the RGB to VGA style conversion. That was $23.99. They don't get much cheaper than that. You know, that's about $30 is about the going rate, and so $23.99 is a pretty good is a pretty good price for that.
So tell me, John, though, how would I have found out about all these good deals?
Well, Tim, I'll tell you. If you would subscribe to our social media feeds at Arcade Repair Tips, or at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, you can find out about deals like these and other things.
Right.
How's that?
So you don't even have to scour the internet. There's people that scour it for you.
That is correct. We're always scouring. Scouring sounds like I'm scowling. I don't know. But yes, we are always scouring the internet for good deals. And I know some of you guys really hate on arcade one-ups. Like, there's a lot of people who really like those things, okay? And I have some. I'm not, it's like, $200 for a mini cabinet is not a bad deal.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
The monitor's worth that much.
Exactly. So, it's not a bad deal. So, I understand that you guys don't always like them, but they're fine. So, let's see. Connor says, has anyone got one of those Pac-Man lights? Might get one for my arcade room, but I'm not sure what others think. I did not get one myself, Tim. I have seen it in other arcade setups. It's kind of tiny, but it's not terrible, and it actually looks really sharp in most of the game rooms I've seen it presented in. So, okay. If you're looking for that, I think either it's not available right now or the price has gone up, so you may wait until you get closer to Christmas. They may restock. Let's see. I wish I could use a real $50 gold coins for tokens. I think we all do. So that's from Omega Mark there. So, but that was just a sampling of some of the deals that were up this month, and we may have some more deals, guys. Just we're getting into Black Friday season here pretty soon, and so there's going to be some other stuff come up for sale. I think you guys will be. Like I said, you guys will be. If you stay tuned to our social media feeds, you'll see some stuff that you may be interested in. So. Now, Tim, Wired Magazine actually did a history of the Addams Family pinball machine. Wow. Now, Tim, you and me are pretty familiar with them. So, but for those of you people who aren't, I did take an excerpt from the article, and it says the Addams Family pinball machine itself is wickedly amusing. It was created by legendary game designers Pat Lawler and Larry DeMar. Artist John Busey and sound designer Chris Granner. The Addams Family's tricks were unlike those of others at the time. Magnets under the surface that can cause balls to roll as if it's haunted. A mechanical hand thing that could reach out from a box and scoop up the player's ball. And flippers that moved on their own. Players loved it. Tim, if you talk to pinball, if you talk to anybody, even people who aren't pinball fans, most people, if they want to know one pinball machine, it's going to be Addams Family Pinball. Yeah. When I was a kid, there's a pizza place here that only had one arcade game, Tim, maybe two, and one of them was Addams Family Pinball. Nice. And I played that thing, and it was fun. And it's still a fun game today. And Tim, I really think that's what put Pat Lawler on the map. Now, we all know that Pat Lawler has designed several games, his most recent game being Toy Story 4, Tim. I believe, right? That was Pat Lawler? Pretty sure that was. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's Pat Lawler. But he works for Jersey Jack Pinball now, of course, or I think this may be his last game to design. He designed a whole bunch of pinball machines, Monopoly, Tim, which I have as a Pat Lawler design game. Of course, Twilight Zone that came later is also Pat Lawler design. There's a lot of games.
Probably two most popular games ever.
Yes, and Razor Show says it's the Addams Family highest selling pin of all time. That's correct. The highest selling pinball of all time. They talk about that in the article if you watch it. So, fantastic. So, going back to the arcade one-ups, Michael says purists hate arcade one-ups, but they have their place. Casual gamers like them, and it gets them into classic gaming. It's okay with me. Tim, I've seen quite a few people who start with arcade 1-ups and have moved on to full-size arcades. Mm-hmm. Okay, and like I said, you and me, if you go back and look at some of our old live show episodes, I think we talked about this being almost like a gateway drug to full-size arcade games.
Exactly.
Collecting, and it is. It is. I think a lot of people who have... Some people will be perfectly fine having their arcade 1-ups in their house, in their arcade. They'll make a whole arcade of them. They'll be perfectly fine with that. Other people will say, you know what? Now that I've got these little guys, I think I'm going to move on to the big guys. And they'll move on to that. And so a lot of people, like I said, I've always seen it as like, well, if you've got the little guy, at some point you may get the itch to get the big guy. So
I think it's actually kept the price of the older, bigger arcades.
Agreed.
That hasn't hurt them.
Right, because there's a lot of people who, like, I think Blitz is a great example where it's like they're perfectly happy with that Blitz. Those people may have been in the market for a full-size Blitz. But once they see the arcade 1-up one, they're like, well, I'll just buy that, and I'm out of the market now for a full-size Blitz, right? And so it kind of keeps, in a way, it keeps the arcade, the actual coin-operated arcade market a little bit more down than what it would be because people are getting their fix via the arcade 1-up cabinets. So, absolutely. So, okay, let's continue on here. Now, Tim, this was in our neck of the woods here, and I put this up. A lot of people were sad for this guy. We do not know this guy. I should say that just right off. But I did see the story about this, and then this was the follow-up to this. So a fire destroys Gilmer Skating Rink's arcade game room, Tim. So this was a follow-up to the original one talking about the fire at the skating rink. And this was the arcade operator, Tim, in the video. But the Gilmer Starplex Skating Rink that's local to our area caught fire on Monday, October 24th, which was last Monday, right? Mm-hmm. Not last Halloween, but Monday before last, and experienced quite a bit of damage. Our local news did an interview with the arcade operator who said 18 games were destroyed in the fire with an estimated damage around $70,000. So I don't know what he had in there. I've never been there.
I just came from Gilmer. I didn't know about it.
Well, you couldn't have gone into it anyway. I'm sure there's going to be insurance stuff. Authorities say the fire doesn't look suspicious. So they've been investigating it, and so apparently it may have just been something.
Might have been a fuse.
It might have been a fuse. I mean, it sounds like it was just some electrical issue that sparked something and caused it to go off. So hopefully this guy will get hopefully they'll file claims on insurance and everything will come out and this guy will get his money back for those games and be able to put him back in the skating rink. Because, Tim, we've talked about this before, skating rinks and arcade games go hand in hand.
Right.
So, hopefully he'll be able to recoup some of his costs through insurance and get back on his feet. But very sad thing. Anytime you see an arcade catch fire, Tim, or arcade games catch fire, it's never a good thing. So, but hopefully he'll be able to land on his feet. So that's what we're hoping for. And we don't know him, Tim. I don't know him. He said his name in the interview, but
doesn't look familiar.
Yeah, I was about to say there's people who do arcade stuff all the time. So, Cameron says arcade 1-ups also killed the 61 market, so original cabinets are not getting butchered. And yeah, Jumpy Jar, you guys should open up your own arcade. Tim,
been there, done that.
Done that.
Got a T-shirt and a mat.
That's right.
A floor mat. Yeah.
A T-shirt and a floor mat.
I do have a floor mat.
You do? That's right. You still have one around somewhere.
But no, I think our time has passed. That on to you guys, Torch. You can venture into that one next time. I think I'm done.
Yeah. So we, long story short.
Other ways to lose money.
Long story short. We were in with some guys who had a pizza restaurant. We ran all the games there, and they let us have almost full reign of that place. We had, how many games there, Tim? 30-something?
Something like
40-something? 30 to 40-something arcade games. They were all
it was 36.
coin-based. Yeah, 36, something like that. They were all coin-based at the time, and after about a year in operation, they couldn't make money. We were making money, but they could not make money, and so
we did.
And so we closed down, and that's when we started Arcade Repair Tips. You're welcome. So you can thank the closing of our arcade/restaurant to that. So
agreed.
Yeah, but we spent just the amount of time in order to keep an arcade functioning, guys. It takes a lot of time. It really does. You have to be up there at least 2 to 3 times a week checking on games. We were just operating those games technically. It's not like we had an arcade, but still 36 games is a lot of games no matter who you are. And so trying to keep those games functioning was, you're talking about checking on them 3 to 4 times a week and deep cleaning every week. It was basically what we did to make sure everything was running. So it was fun. I enjoyed it for the year that we had it. But I did not realize how much time it was going to take. I don't think you did really either, Tim. Tim was still working at Chuck E. Cheese at the time, so not only is he working on games, I was about to say, not only is he working on games at work, he's working on games after work, and so it was fun for the time that we did it. But I think we're past that now.
Definitely a learning experience.
Right. I don't know if now if somebody came up and said, "Hey, can we, we want to open up an arcade and we'd like to, borrow some of your games to have there, and you pay a rental fee or something like that," I may be open to something like that. But I mean, as far as doing it ourselves, that's long gone. Anybody who wants to do that though, more power to you. We wish you the best. I hope that your arcade is the most successful arcade ever. But we're done. We're done with that. So
I like eating.
Yeah. I like eating and sleeping.
Paying gas.
I love sleeping.
Yeah, sleeping.
Sleeping is fantastic. So. But anyway, Michael says a straight arcade just doesn't make money anymore. Our local one has all kinds of other stuff to do, like
you have to have
Dungeons
food
and Dragons type board games and whatnot. That's the only way to stay in business. Delusional says there are 100% arcade one-up arcade places out there. The ROI is crazy. LOL. Let's talk about that. Great transition there, Delusional, because I have the one that caught fire this month, Tim, was this post right here. Now, Tim, we have a location for the job that I work at in West Virginia.
Okay.
And so I get West Virginia news from time to time, and this was in Fairmont, West Virginia, okay, which is not too far from where we have our thing. So I get West Virginia news. This is how I came across this article. And so I saw this picture and this title and said, I have to post this, right? So, new 80s themed arcade opens in Fairmont, and here's what the article says. Arcadomania is a new establishment in Fairmont, West Virginia that offers family-friendly environment and a great hangout spot. This arcade has arcade one-up cabinets. Now, this is me saying this. As part of their lineup, this seems to be a trend lately. What are your thoughts on arcade locations using arcade one-up cabinets? And Tim, as you can imagine, the comments were less than favorable.
Okay.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. We're just asking the question. We're not sitting here. I'm not degrading this arcade in any way, Tim.
Okay.
The only thing that we posted was, what do you think?
Okay.
And there were a lot of people who were kind of ugly about it. Okay.
Okay.
And look, that's your opinion. I understand. We are not necessarily
promoting it.
We are not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. We were trying to get people's thoughts on it. You guys, for the most part, were pretty negative about it, and that's fine. Tim, there was somebody who posted kind of a reaction that they thought better about and deleted, but we can see that stuff because we're the moderators of the page. Did you see that one?
I did not.
Okay, so there was somebody who kind of chimed in, and she probably thought better about posting that because she probably would have gotten really shot down, which is really sad. But let me do so. This is one thing I wanted to answer, and Michael actually chimed in with this. The license doesn't allow for commercial use, does it? So let's talk about that for a second, Tim.
Right.
Technically, no. But who's suing them?
Right.
Okay, this is the same thing. How many places use console games in their business? So, like, if I take a Nintendo 64, and Nintendo 64, Tim, is also marked home use only.
Right.
If I take that and put that in a business establishment, technically, am I breaking the law? Maybe.
Probably.
Who's going to come after me?
Well, if you're Namco might, but
Maybe,
I doubt Nintendo
but I mean,
would.
you're small potatoes, right? Like, I mean, what is it worth? So I think with the arcade one-ups, I mean, so the people who'd have to go after them would have to be the licensors of the game. So it'd have to be like Capcom. If you have the Street Fighter, Capcom would have to come after you. If the Pac-Man, Bandai Namco would have to be the one to come after you. Here's the thing. Most of these guys are such small potatoes that they fall under the radar. We all know Bandai Namco hasn't even done much about 16-in-1 boards, okay? You think they're going to do much about some guy in Fairmont, West Virginia that's got an arcade one-up in his arcade?
Well, they made a YouTuber take the word pack something out of it.
That's beside the point. We're not going to discuss that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that in most cases, Bandai Namco, Capcom are not going to go after these guys. Okay, so
yeah, probably not.
Is it technically illegal? Yes. Could Capcom and Bandai Namco technically sue them over this? Yes. Would they win? Yes. Would it be worth their time? Probably not.
Yeah, obviously somebody saw a business model. Let's take, for instance, just same way with arcade games. You could have bought arcade games when you were growing up, too, but they were quite expensive.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper to just go and play.
Yeah.
Even with arcade one-ups, you look at that lineup right there, that's at least, several $1,000s worth of arcade one-ups.
Agreed.
So how many times could you play or take your kid up there and play and not spend several $1,000s? You're coming out ahead.
Right.
And you get to play some stuff you never played. You get to try them, and then you might want to buy them. So I don't know. You know what? It's if anything else, it brings more attention to arcade games and stuff like
Razor
that.
Show says a coin operator competitor could sue them. Under what? So anybody can sue
Maybe.
anybody for any reason. Okay,
Right.
I should say that. So yeah,
If
they can
somebody's
sue 'em.
doing it legally who has the license to, like Chuck E. Cheese or
But
somebody.
here's the thing: they don't own the operator doesn't own a license to
No.
those games. Like the
But
operator
the person
doesn't.
I bought it from, Betson, might.
Yeah, and so they're granting me temporary use of the license, but
Right.
but I don't own the license. It's like when you buy a DVD, they're granting you a use of the DVD, but they're not granting you their license.
Right.
You see, so you can't sue on their behalf if somebody's making copies of that DVD.
But can
they
you
can sue you,
But can
or
you
they can sue somebody else.
show the movie at your house and charge people to come watch it? I guess is the thing.
Right, exactly. So technically, no, you don't have a license for that. But are they going to come and get you?
Probably.
Probably not. So yes. Is it illegal? Yes.
Would we do it? No.
No, but the cops aren't going to show up to your place
Right.
because, unless somebody files a cease and desist on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if Capcom files a cease and desist and says, hey, you got to stop using these cabinets in your game room, then that's a different thing. Okay? So Delusional says they can be a whistleblower to get the comparator to close. That is true. But again, that's only if one of these licensors is going to take action against them.
Right.
Okay? So if they're not going to take action, like I can tell Bandai Namco, that man right there is using arcade 1-ups in his arcade. I can tell them that, but are they going to do anything about it?
Yeah, who knows?
Probably not. It just is. But here is the bigger part. And Omega Mark gets this right. Arcade 1-ups will wear out fast in a commercial environment. They are designed for home use.
Exactly.
That is the key.
They barely hold up to home use.
That's true. So
They're not going to hold
absolutely.
up in an arcade very well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and here's the thing. I used to work at Best Buy, Tim. You knew that because we met there. Okay, what if I told you that we had display ball mice? You remember when mice had balls? Do you guys remember that? Like had the little
Yes.
ball instead of the optical sensor?
Right.
Remember that? Guess what? All of our display mice, they were
Okay.
missing their optical balls. You know why? Or their balls sensors.
Right.
You know why?
People
Because people will
steal
steal
them.
anything. On the arcade 1-ups, you can unscrew the joystick tops off. Okay?
Right?
All it takes is somebody going in there, unscrewing all the joystick tops, and then
there.
somebody has to go back in and screw them back all on. We all know on commercial grade arcade cabinets, you ain't taking this thing off.
Right.
Okay? Because it is literally molded to the handle, right, Tim?
Right.
It is a different thing. And so, yeah, you're talking about, this is the thing, is that this is commercial.
Right.
Okay? In arcade 1-ups, I can screw the ball top off and just take it.
Right.
Okay? And so, if you got kids playing that, all of those bat top and ball top joysticks are going to be missing their bats and balls. Okay, they're gonna be gone because kids. I remove them just playing. So if you're operating arcade 1-ups, you need to put some glue on those things, okay, to make sure they ain't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will tell you that. Now you could also swap out the controls for actual arcade controls, Suzo, Hap, or Sanwa. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could, and that will help. Okay, that is swappable. You can do that. But here's the thing. They're not meant to take the beating. And they have on-off switches on the front, which you could also disable, Tim. You could wire around those,
Correct.
which is what we were thinking. And this guy put coin mechs on them.
I saw that.
even more mind-blowing because now you have to rig it up like we talked about to the start button, right? Mm-hmm. And so we've talked about that before, how you could accomplish that. So, but to put coin doors on there, yes, is he breaking the law? Is he doing something illegal? Yes, he is, but only if somebody's going to go after him for it.
Be interesting to see
Like
how
I said,
long it
61
stays open.
builders. How many 61 builders are out there still doing it? But anyway, what else do we have here? Michael says that's true. They're made to a price point and they'll break for sure. Delusional's arcade, yeah, but a new overlay for a real arcade machine can be upwards of $100 depending on the game, plus paying someone to repair plus parts. Easier just to buy a whole new one up every few months, and that is true. You could always just replace them. They're gonna hold if you replace all of the joysticks and buttons. If you did that, Tim, and you kind of sealed off all of the parts of the cabinet, that front panel, I would probably put a thicker piece in the front panel. There's some things that I would do that I can make them pretty darn close to commercial grade.
Okay.
You could get them pretty darn close. But would I go to all that effort?
Yeah,
No, I
probably
wouldn't.
not.
So, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, the wood is far too thin. It'll crack for sure under constant abuse. And like I said, the cabinet itself, the wood is, I would say, acceptable. It's not arcade. It's not commercial arcade thickness, right? Mm-hmm. But it's acceptable. But the problem is they do use basically cardboard for the front and cardboard for the back. And so those front pieces you would need to replace. And again, all original joystick, actual arcade joysticks and buttons on there. You could do this. You could make it work. But again, people were all like, it's illegal, it's illegal. It's only illegal if the people who own the license go after the people who are misusing the license. Okay?
Yeah.
Like I said, like you're talking about, the DVD is a great example. Showing a movie in your house on DVD, that is illegal. If you're just doing it for like 15 friends, is somebody going to come after you about it?
Right.
Probably not.
But if you rent an MMA fight and everybody chips in,
Right.
that's okay, because
Exactly.
you're buying the
You're
rights
paying- right,
to
exactly.
show it.
Right, exactly.
Or to use it.
Right.
So it is a touchy subject, and but good luck to them. Who knows? It probably won't last long anyway. If a normal arcade wouldn't do very good, I can't see it lasting very long.
Jerry says the control panel paint also fades quickly with barely any touch. So here's the thing about the control panel paint, Tim. Every new arcade 1-up comes with a plexiglass protector now. Every single one.
Nice.
And I know because I bought 3 or 4 of them within the last couple, within the last bit here. So, yes, the paint does fade fast, but most of the time you have plexi covers on them now. Mm-hmm. They did not on the first generation. On the first generation, you could get one for free for a little bit. They were getting them for free. Now they include it with everything. And the funny thing here, Tim, is that people don't know that they put the they put the protector plastic on it, and when it has the protector plastic on it, it's frosty. And so you'll see people with arcade 1-ups and all of their control panels
all
look frosty because they didn't peel the protectors. Right, exactly.
Oh, funny.
But Jason says, I still see full-size cabinets in businesses running 60s and Raspberry Pis all the time. Same thing.
Right.
Same thing. If you're running an arcade 1-up or you're running a 60-in-1, same darn thing.
Right. Or MAME.
Yeah,
right.
or MAME. Right, exactly. Raspberry Pi, with RetroPie or whatever, same thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, they could go after you too. Technically, licensor could go after you for that as well. So there you go. That's just some thoughts, Tim. And look, I didn't want to. I mean, I know everybody was really negative in the replies, and look, opinions. You guys can have your opinions. Got no problem with that. That's why we want your opinions. In fact, I want to read what you guys think. That's what we put it out there for. Yeah, exactly. So, but you can say, I don't like that or whatever, but some of those things were pretty darn mean, Tim. Did you see some of the comments?
No,
okay.
I'd avoid that kind of stuff.
Okay, some of them were pretty darn mean. That's fine, but thank you for your feedback, because that's what we wanted. We wanted to see some feedback. We wanted to see what you guys thought. So there we go. So, Tim, I think I covered that as much as I want to cover. If you guys want to go read the comments, go to our Twitter post and our Facebook post on that, and you can read all the comments. They're all there. So, okay, Tim, let's wrap this thing up, shall we?
All right.
Okay, we want to remind you that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're always looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put a plug in for your channel so people know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions, Tim. I say this every month because we want to help smaller channels get more viewers so they can get monetized, especially arcade-related channels. And so this is why we offer this, is because we want to make sure that if you're an arcade-related channel out there and you're looking to get a little bit more traffic, maybe get to that threshold where you can actually start getting paid a little bit for your videos, let us help you out. Send us a video about your arcade-related video, and if we like it, we'll play it during one of our live show episodes. Tim, I think I have the one we did for Regzer. We play like something like this at the beginning so you guys can see it. There you go. I have the audio muted right now. This is something we did for Greg and Riggs' show, one of his. But we can put you right there, and we can give you some free promotion. So, which we'd love to do. Tim, I got to thank some people real quick.
Milestone.
We hit a milestone.
All right.
It only took us 13 years, but we have now hit 10,000 subscribers. Okay. Yay! And it's all because of you. It's not us. It's you. Thank you guys so much for your support. I didn't think we'd get there because I felt like we were at like 9,500 for a very long time. Right. And so, it's really cool to be in 5 digits, Tim. And I just want to thank you guys. I think, Tim, you want to say that too. We just want to thank you.
For sure.
Obviously, without people watching the content, we would be nothing. So, I mean, it's all because you guys watch and subscribe.
It's about 9,990 more than I expected.
Yes, absolutely.
When we started this.
When we started this, I'm like, okay, Tim, me, his wife, my wife, mom's. It's like, okay, we can come up with 10 people who we will think will subscribe.
It's cool. So, we had some people from Nova Scotia. They're in the chat room tonight, and all over the world that have some help. I hope we've helped, and if nothing else, we brought attention to our collecting and the stuff that we all like to do.
Yes. So thank you. because, like I said, without you, there's no Arcade Repair Tips, there's no live show, there's no us talking about arcade games incessantly for hours upon end, and we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you being here. And here's the thing, Tim, we've said this before, we don't know everything, okay?
No.
We're just passing along from our years of experience what we've learned, and we're always up for learning more. And so, I know we've had people who have posted comments on our videos saying, you guys don't know anything, stuff like that. If I don't know anything, teach me.
Right.
Let me know. That we're always in a mode of learning, because here's the thing. Nobody knows everything about arcade repair. There's no one person who knows everything, okay? And so we should all be in a position of learning and saying to ourselves, well, the only reason we know what we know is because of what we've done, and the things we know work, and the things we know don't.
Not to do.
Right, exactly. Like Tim likes to say, we know a lot of what not to do.
Yeah.
And so that is the only reason why we know what we know, is because we've had some experience at it. But we're always up for learning more. And so, Delusional Arcade is a great channel, has lots of great information on it. Regular Show's channel is a great channel, has lots of information on it. John's Arcade. There's so many arcade YouTube channels out there that have great information, Tim. We are not the only one, and we're not going to sit here and say we're the authority on this.
No.
Okay? We are just two guys who know a little bit about arcade repair and hope we can pass something on to you. And so hopefully over these past 13 or so years that we've been doing this, we've helped you out and helped you learn a little bit more about, arcade repair than you knew already. And that's really what it comes down to.
So if you're watching, chances are you're one of those 10,000. And if you're not, guess what? You can hit the subscribe button and you can become on our way to 11,000. And we look forward to having you watch us and subscribe. We'd love to get feedback from you and develop a relationship with you. Thank you guys that come every month on a regular basis. That doesn't go unnoticed. I look forward, and if you ever see us at a show or when we announce when we're traveling, feel free to look us up. Feel free to say hi. I love to meet people that somehow we've helped or that have been influenced by our show in some ways. And I love the chat room and how you guys pitch in and help, and some things that I forget or I don't say. You guys are very helpful there. We're a team, and you're a part of it. So thank you for being involved.
Absolutely. So earlier in the show, Tim, somebody said, hello, professors and students. Guess what? We're professors and students.
Right.
We're all professors and students. We're all teaching each other things, and we're all learning from each other as well. And so, it's a ongoing cycle of that. So, and Joe says, been here since day one, still the best. So I appreciate that. That
Thank
means
you,
a lot.
Joe.
Because, we're both a lot older than when we started this thing.
Joe, you're getting old.
Tim, I didn't have kids when we started this thing, and now I've got two. Tim was working for Chuck E. Cheese and now has a completely different job than that.
Praise God.
We've come a long way from when we started, and as just some guys who were doing this in Tim's garage. So,
right.
Have we come a long way? I think it's the same show.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Either way.
We definitely, it's kind of like we've seen some games come and go. We've held hands with some of the best of them.
Absolutely.
Loved the mini game out there, and they're gone now. But you know
all
what?
the games I've loved before.
You probably, chances are, some game in your collection we touched it one time or another. So keep that in mind. Whatever, I would definitely disinfect them. But no, we appriciate all you guys.
If there's squirrely wiring in there, that was not us.
No, we didn't do that. That wasn't us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. If it looked like a rush job and had a lot of electrical tape on it, probably
not us. No. So anyway, guys, but thank you guys so much. It really means a lot, and that was a big deal when I saw that. I logged in the other day, Tim, and saw we were over 10,000. Just couldn't believe it.
Thank you guys. That's neat. That is, I think, is a milestone. And when LeBron finally comes out and says how much he's enjoyed our channel, we may hit 100,000 in a week. I don't know why he ain't chipping in yet, but him, Dak Prescott, any of our other fans, but same thing, guys. Some people just like to be low key. That's all right.
Hey, and when we started, Tim, we were using like a standard definition 4x3. That's how long we've been doing this.
Wow.
4x3 videos. So like what you'd watch on an actual TV. Or on a CRT TV. So there you go. But anyway, Javi Jerry says, thanks for all the years, tips and repairs. Michael says, I can't believe it's almost been 6 years. I don't make every show, but I do when I can. You guys definitely helped me make the leap to hands-on arcade repair. The TV guy needs to come back from time to time. I know!
Yes.
Michael, I need to reach back out to Michael. I was doing it pretty regularly there for a while.
Uh-huh.
But Michael's so in and out, it's hard to sometimes grab him because he works on oil sites and rigs and stuff, and so like he'll be gone for like 3 weeks at a time, and then he'll have like 1 week off, or he'll be gone for 3 more weeks and have 1 more week off. And so sometimes it's hard for us to kind of get synced, and so like I'll send him something, I won't hear back from him for a while, but that's because he's been working or whatever the case may be. So we love Michael. Michael's one of my favorite people. If we could have him here and film with him all the time, I would, because he is so much fun to film with him and Tim. It just cracks me up. If you've watched any of the blooper reels on any of our DVDs, if you've seen the ones with Michael, those are my favorite. Right. Every time. So I miss Michael a lot, and hopefully we can bring him back. And so I said episode 69. That's right, 69.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's a long
of
time.
Okay, so let us go ahead and put the contact information out here. I'm getting all emotional. I need to stop that. Okay. Questions at arcaderepairtips.com. That's the email address, guys, if you want to send your questions in. Questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Make sure you put live show in the subject line to get it mentioned on the show. Again, that is questions at arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our YouTube page, which obviously you guys who are watching it live know where it is, but for those of you guys who may be listening on the podcast feed, that's at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Comments from the last live show, we try to cover on the next episode, so if you guys leave comments on this live show episode, we will try to get to them next time. And another reminder that if you are listening to this on the podcast, we do not post the after show on the podcast, so if you want to listen to that, you will need to go to our YouTube page and look this episode up. That's youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. And then, Tim, we have our podcast feed, which right now just basically has live show audio, but from time to time we also have interviews, and every so often we may have a question and answer podcast with Rusty and Eric. It's been a while now, but we'll throw that out there. But if you want to subscribe to our podcast audio feeds, you can do that at iTunes, at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. We have our Spotify page at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, and our Stitcher radio page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com, or you can find us wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. Just search for Arcade Repair, and I'm sure we'll come up. So, again, we love for you guys who listen on the audio feed. Of course, Tim, we like to have you here.
Right.
So, if you're listening to this on the audio feed, make it a point to be here for the next one. Tim, big Christmas episode next time. So, you want to be here for that. And then we have our social media pages that we talked about during the deal section of this show, and that's at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our Twitter feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. And Tim, pretty much the same content gets cross-posted to both of those sites, so it doesn't matter which one you subscribe to. You're getting pretty much the same content on both. Different comments, of course, on some of the stories and things, but that's what we're looking at there if you want to join our social media pages. And we do want to thank Mark, who is our community manager, for all that he does as well. He does chime in on there about pinball news and other things from time to time. But again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and twitter.arcaderepairtips.com for our Facebook and Twitter feeds. So there we go. And Tim, we done with the regular portion of the live show.
So I looked it up. December 1st.
December 1st.
December 1st.
Golly, I'm gonna have to start.
The last month of the year.
I'm gonna have to start. I'm gonna have to shop for your Christmas present early.
Wow, that is.
You know what I'm saying? Because we usually exchange Christmas presents on our Christmas episode, right, Tim?
That's true.
This is true. So, if you want to see what I get, Tim, make sure you're here next time. And we'll give away more free stuff. We've been giving away free stuff every episode, guys, and I think it's helping. So I'm going to keep doing it. So hopefully it's helping.
Can't beat the free.
Let's remind everybody one more time, if you want to get this nice soldering iron kit and you want to get this nice AC voltage detector, send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you include the password
WrestleFest.
WrestleFest. That is the password. So contest@arcaderepairtips.com and include the password WrestleFest in there somewhere, and make sure you put your name and your address, because we do ship those. We only keep that information private. We do not share with anybody else. So there we go, Tim. Okay, anything you want to tease for the after show before we move on?
I think we're proud Dallas Cowboy fans. We might have talked some football, a little smack.
I am a very fair weather Cowboy fan, and right now I am diehard.
Yeah,
technically. So I'm fair weather, and
we'll talk a little sports.
XFL, Tim.
XFL is coming back.
I heard an interview with Bob Stoops.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be our coach again.
Oh, hot dog. And so also we're looking at World Series talk, maybe?
Absolutely.
A lot of sports talk. Talk about some movies and stuff. Actually,
is the World Series on right now?
I went to the movies for the first time in like a year.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, so we'll talk about some stuff that we've been doing. And you know what? Even maybe in some investment talk. Since a certain person has taken over a certain company, some stocks have been doing a little up and down.
I've noticed that.
So, Good time.
I think those are good teasers. We'll talk about, of course, movies and shows that we've been watching, and you guys can stick around and share your movies and shows with us that you've been watching as well, and we'll do that. And I'll talk about an event I went to in the Dallas area as well. So, okay, and NFL, of course, NBA, hockey, all that kind of stuff. We just talk about general stuff in the after show. After show is open to everybody, and it basically involves everything. And it happens immediately after the show, Tim, right? So, I mean, just 5 or 10 minutes, just enough time for me and Tim to hit the restroom, and then we'll be right back. And we'll be right back here with you if you're watching this live. So, but Tim, I think that wraps it up for this episode. So, again, December 1st will be the next live show. We hope that you all can make it. We'll do our big Christmas episode. Me and Tim will exchange gifts and figure out what we're going to get each other. Most of the time it's arcade related, sometimes not, but it just depends.
I got an idea.
Anything else you want to say before we depart?
No, thanks again. If you haven't ever subscribed, though, seriously, why not subscribe? It helps our rankings and ratings and helps us keep encouraging us to, or leave a good review. It helps us to keep doing this.
And it's funny because, my kids, they watch so much YouTube that anytime I film them at the end of their video, they're like, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm like, who are you talking to? There's nobody there. This is literally a home video. So, I have home videos of my kid at the end. Make sure you like and subscribe. But we never do that here.
we don't say it enough. But because we can't imagine 10,000 people that would actually like and subscribe.
Exactly.
But at the same time, thank you for you being here tonight. Always makes it fun. Some new people, send us updates. Let us follow up. We'll get your game up and going before long. That's the main thing.
We do want to thank everybody who's in the live chat tonight. I never want to overlook that, Tim. Thank you guys for chiming in tonight and for interacting with us during the show. Tim, when you're here in the live chat, you are literally part of the show. And, one of the things we say in our post, Tim, is that it won't be the same without you. Right. And it's true. It won't be the same without you if you're not here. So if you're here live, thank you for being here. And literally, like I said, it's not the same if you're not here. So make sure you can make the next one. We'd love to see you. So, Tim, remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next month, or we'll see you here in just a sec for the after show.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back, I think. Are we back?
We're back?
We're back. Okay, everything looks good.
Okay.
We're back.
Somebody say hello out there.
That's right. I like how Encore's Arcade said school's out. You know, we let you guys all out. You can go home now if you want to, or you can just stick around and hang out. So that's what we're going to do now. You know, we love talking arcade games, guys, but the after show is kind of just for chilling. And really, it's just really an excuse for me and Tim to talk about things that we've been doing because I don't get to see Tim enough.
Right.
And so typically, like, I give him like a text here or a text there or whatever it is, and that's about it. And so we don't have time to just sit down and talk. So this is the after show, and this is what we talk about. Usually we're just hanging out. So we talked about Halloween at the beginning of the live show. I said we had about 350 trick-or-treaters. Tim, I buy full-size candy bars. This year I only bought 250 full-size and about 1,500 pieces of small candy, and it was all gone.
So where's your candy stash? Are you going through Amazon or are you getting it like Sam's?
So for you guys who want to buy full-size candy bars for Halloween, let me give you some tips. First, Sam's.
Okay.
Sam's is where you want to get them from. They're cheaper than everybody
Best
else.
price.
Yeah, exactly. Best price. You can't get any better. They make packages just for Halloween.
Okay.
That are like ready to go. So they're usually going to cost you somewhere between 65 and 70 cents.
Okay.
Okay. But if you think about it, if you give every kid 3 pieces of candy,
yeah,
you're getting pretty close.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, you know, but here's the thing. I always tell people there's one night a year where people come to your door and actually ask for something, and I want them to, when they come to my door, they ask for something, they get something really good. So I mean, it's like, so that's why I spend the money. It's worth every penny. So, and we had a great time. My kids got so much candy. All the kids we gave to got so much candy. And here's the thing. I don't care if you're a teenager. I don't care if you're an adult. I'll give you candy if you want candy.
Right.
Okay, and like there's this whole thing, Tim, about, oh, teenagers shouldn't be trick-or-treating. Teenagers can trick. If they're trick-or-treating, at least they're doing something better than something else they could be doing.
What was the best costume that you saw?
I saw a full-on X-Wing pilot.
Oh, wow.
Full on. That dude got a huge bag of Sour Punch from me. So full-on X-Wing pilot, Tim. That was the best one I saw.
I'm trying to find one.
We're talking about like cosplay worthy. Okay, and I asked him if he was a specific X-Wing pilot, like, or if he was just a X-Wing pilot, and he said just a X-Wing pilot. I'm like, that's fine. Like, you know, I don't know if you're like a specific one or anything like that, but he got a full-size bag, like a huge bag of Sour Punch kits.
This is a friend of mine. Okay. Why don't you tell me who is this?
Is it Sanford and Son?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
There's 2 little kids dressed up like, I know you can't see it there. Yeah. It's like dressed up like Sanford and Son, and they're both they're toddlers. Okay, and one of them has a little mustache, and the other one has the suspenders and everything.
I was trying to think. So many princesses, so many Paw Patrol, so many Spider-Man.
What is this?
What? Cabbage Patch?
That's the baby.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the baby. Anyway, I saw a group of kids came up dressed all like the Wizard of Oz. They had Dorothy, nice. Toto. I mean, they had everybody. There was like 6 of them. They were all dressed up. The Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, Dorothy, and Toto. Wow. I was like, wow, you guys, I'm going to give you all a little extra candy. That was cool.
A lot of Power Rangers, a lot of Mario stuff. I was trying to think. Most of the bigger kids were dressed up like zombies or clowns.
Yeah,
or, you know what I'm saying?
Characters,
yeah, like
Scream
Scream characters, stuff like that. A lot of Fortnite characters.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness, Fortnite is a thing.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of Fortnite characters. Somebody posted online like a picture where somebody said Fortnite characters don't get any candy. That is wrong, by the way. You should not do that.
Right.
No, I don't care if you're a high schooler. I don't care if you're a full-size adult. If you come up and you ask for candy, I'm giving you candy. Right. So, I mean, I just... People are like, oh, your teenager's too old to be trick-or-treating. Let them have fun, please.
Right, yes. There's a lot worse things they could be doing.
Exactly.
And I appreciate... I like your neighborhood's like that too. We have good neighborhoods.
Oh, I do have a picture.
People give.
I was going to say, I do have a picture of like what our street looked like when it was all covered up.
Now, did you dress up, John? You dress up a lot of times.
Yeah.
To give out candy. What were you?
I was a teenage. Well, to give out candy, I wore Cappy and I wore a Boo shirt, like a Boo from Mario Brothers. You know, like the ghost. This was our street, like, at one point. You can kind of see, like, all the people walking down,
wow.
you know, like
That's
that.
Crowded.
I mean, it was,
crazy.
there were people all on the street. We don't have sidewalks. And so people literally just...
down the street,
like, going everywhere.
So what was it like at your house? And did you dress up? Or how? We ran out of candy in about 45 minutes. But we didn't have a huge bag. We kind of decided on the last minute.
Right.
Our inside dogs bark and go crazy, and it's kind of hard to hand out candy. The only way you can do it really at my house is we set at the end of the driveway and hand it out because our dogs would go crazy. And we were just like, we hadn't bought any candy and it was kind of a last minute deal. And we were just going to maybe go to the movies or do something because they were having a big block party. And we decided the last minute, I don't want to go anywhere. Let's just buy some candy. We bought a pretty big bowl of candy at the last minute. Christmas candy and stuff that wasn't Halloween, but kids didn't care, right?
Sure, right, yeah. Okay.
And so I put it all in a bowl, and we gave it out in about 45 minutes. It was gone. And
I will say this, that I saw on Nextdoor, which is like the social media, that a lady said she ran out of candy. She started getting out quarters, and the kids went crazy.
Oh, wow.
So a quarter, if you run out of candy, apparently a quarter is just as good. Right,
and
exactly.
you might come out ahead that way, John.
Yeah, exactly.
I might have to try that next year. Quarters, yeah, okay. I haven't tried that one. Yeah. But anyway, I enjoy our neighborhood. And like you said, it's fun to see everybody dressed up and having a good time. Hope you had a good, safe time. Anyway, it was just a good day.
So for our trunk or treat at our church, we did a Ninja Turtle theme. So I have a Leonardo, and my wife was Raphael.
Family?
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
My son was Michelangelo. He wore that for Halloween too.
Okay, he was in it.
My daughter was Donatello.
Okay.
And we had weapons and everything. We got
how fun.
For actual Halloween, though, my daughter did Spider-Gwen. If you guys are familiar with Spider-Gwen, she's pretty popular now with the kids and everything, especially the girls. So, but it was fun. We had so much fun. Yeah, I had my Leonardo suit on when we were walking around trunk or treat. I was trying to think of any other really great costumes. I always just tell people, if you can't think of anything, Tim, you just pick up an iron, take it to a party with you, Iron Man.
Yeah.
There you go. So you can always be the ironic guy. But Delusional says it was popular for kids to dress up like Jeffrey Dahmer. Those parents who allowed that are disappointing.
I wondered if I would see some of that. I didn't, though, in our neighborhood.
Yeah. Omega Mark says, Fortnite characters floss and get no candy. Look, let them have their fun. Okay? Jason said they had about 1,000 kids. So
crazy.
That is crazy. In one of our bigger subdivisions here, the Woods, Tim, I saw that there were 500 kids.
Yeah.
So our street, like I said, we had about 350, 400-ish, I would say. So Delusional says his daughter was She-Hulk. That's a great one.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is awesome. So,
that would have been fun.
Yeah, She-Hulk is a good one. That show was really good. We'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, there's some really great costumes out there, Tim. Had a good time. I was trying to think of what else. One of the little boys we know, he dressed up like this character from Disney Zombies, which I'm totally not familiar with, obviously. Here's the thing, dressing up like a Fortnite character now would be like one of us dressing up like Mario or Link or something else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why it's like, what's the big deal? You know? I mean, Fortnite is the game that it is right now. It's popular, so, But it was good. Had a good Halloween. Enjoyed every minute.
Me too.
So it was fun. I was tired at the end. I got kind of cranky at the end of the night because I think I was just so tired.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't turn into get off my lawn guy, but I was getting close there. So we turned off the light though, and it seemed like everybody kind of went away. So I mean, it was pretty dead. When we finally shut down, we didn't have. It was about 8:15. Most people had probably stopped by that point. So
I think I had 3 pieces of candy left to take on my lunch the next day. It was like a not Laffy Taffy, Airhead.
Oh, Airheads are good.
And 1 Tootsie Roll and a peppermint.
There you go.
That was it. That's all I had left.
Oh my goodness, we had several. We had about probably 15 pieces of candy left. We had some Starburst. We had some Milky Way, some Snickers, some 3 Musketeers. Just kind of random, but not much.
Not much, huh?
I still have the bag though of Almond Joys that I bought for me and my wife. Okay. So that is specifically for us Almond Joy fans. Let's see. Have you seen those costumes for dogs? There is one with an Ewok. Yes, I have seen the Ewok. That is amazing.
Now, I would have to say I saw a dog come, and it was there was several people that brought their dogs, and one was dressed up like a pumpkin, and it was so funny. I just laughed. Opened the door, just started laughing. I'm like, here, extra candy.
Yeah, that's right.
It was just funny. I was like, I love your dog, and the dog was acting like they were having just the best time, so you wouldn't get my dog in one.
Yeah. I will say I had a neighbor kid who kept coming over for the full-size candy bars.
Yeah, you gotta watch that.
And here's the thing that's even worse, Tim. Guess what he's dressed up as?
What?
A New York Yankee.
Oh, well, man.
If he wouldn't have been my neighbor, I wouldn't give him any candy.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, I gave him. He got 3 king size, and then 3 of the big bars, and he came back, and I'm like, "You're getting just a little package."
Yeah, right.
But then I left, and he came back to my wife, and he goes, "Can I please have another full size bar?" And he gave him one. So my neighbors owe me like $15 in candy or something.
Yeah,
like
okay.
That. Not that much, but, So anyway, Jason says him and his wife were Batman and Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, how fun!
Got to be careful about that, for sure. So that's the good one. Michael Keaton, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, let's see, Tim. I think that's enough for Halloween. October was good. Otherwise, did you do anything else in October?
Man, I don't know. It went by so fast. I think did I go on a trip? I don't know. I'm back. I mean, whatever. It was fun.
I will say we rode on a train. We went to go see Thomas. Like my
how
kids
fun.
are big like Thomas and Friends fans. Like Thomas
Where'd you
the
do
Train.
that at?
A Grapevine.
Okay.
So we went up to Grapevine. We rode Thomas the Train. We went around and did stuff and had a good time. So we enjoyed that. That was the first time we had done it since COVID because we had kind of stopped doing that kind of stuff. And so so it was. Jason says no double dippers. So here's the thing. I keep telling myself, I'm a programmer, Tim. I keep telling myself I'm going to write an AI algorithm that's going to be able to tell me when a duplicate person comes up. I'm working on that.
Scanning on the camera.
That's right. I'm going to put a camera up.
Let me see your eye here, kid.
I'm going to plug that thing directly into the AI Azure cloud, and we're going to be able to tell when people come up who's an extra, and I'm going to give them small pieces of candy. I'm just too lazy to do it yet. We'll get there. So, kids, we're gonna catch you people who are double. So, but here's the deal, Tim. I'd rather overgive than undergive. Right?
There you go.
So, But anyway, I actually called Yankee Kid out a couple of times because I knew he was the duplicate. But anyway, let's see. Text JYT. Can I send you some pictures of my Miss Pac-Man or store mod? Absolutely.
Sure.
Send them
Please.
to questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Now we don't check email during the show. We should say that.
And we would love to if you just want to brag, we could throw a little. We'd love to send what one of our readers send in. Shoot a video.
That's right.
You could send in some pictures of your restoration. I think that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Please do.
For sure. So we went and saw Thomas. That was good, and we just kind of hung out, and that was good. We went to the Arboretum in Dallas after that, and saw the pumpkins and everything. It was a good day. It was exhausting for us as parents because, trying to take your kids anywhere is exhausting because they get you wake them up early, you go ride a train, you go to the Arboretum. By the end, they're zonked. And anybody who has kids knows that when they're tired, they get cranky.
Yep.
And so
I get cranky when I'm tired.
But it was still good. We had fun. So
I'm cranky a lot.
Exactly, me too. So Tim's investment talk. You said we were going to talk about a certain someone who bought a certain something.
Yeah.
So I think that's Mr. Musk and his.
Yeah, since he's bought Twitter, and he's been pushing cryptocurrency for a long time.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
Dogecoin has spiked back up, and I was like, hey. I'm back in the black. I'm back in the black again, and so that was kind of a surprise, and still holding on. With the lottery being, did you hear nobody won yesterday?
Yeah, what are we up to? 1.2?
1.5.
Oh, 1.5.
Oh
my goodness.
1.5
No, you can buy
billion.
these online too. You can buy these on apps and stuff. So, Tim, I don't play the lottery. Every time I'm tempted to play the lottery, I tell myself I'm just gonna give to charity instead because that's a lot better way to lose money.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand you don't play, you can't win kind of thing, but to me, I always lose money. My luck is like zilch. So I mean, I good luck to all you guys.
I will tell you what numbers I'm picking. Pick something opposite.
Okay,
None of my numbers.
Exactly.
Don't use them. I could maybe I could start a site. I'm going to pick 10 numbers and don't pick any of them. You might have a good chance of winning.
My only tip to you is to remember that numbers can duplicate themselves.
Yeah.
Like in the drawing the other night, did you see 13 got picked twice?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see, you have to account for that.
You
A lot
do.
of people don't pick two of the same number, right? When
Right.
they're doing theirs. Numbers can duplicate. Something to keep in mind. So, let's see. If I win, I'm curing student debt. That's not enough money to cure student debt.
Yeah.
So,
I'm curing my debt. That's all.
Exactly.
I'm going to be anonymous. And you may notice all my new pinball games or something. It might be a little clue. Me and Jonathan are sitting at the pool drinking a drink with 100 brand new pinballs. Jersey Jack delivering himself. You might know.
The next live show is totally slick and polished and produced. We've got Peter Jackson doing all the direction.
Yeah. So I'm not saying things might change, but things could change a little bit.
Right.
But we'd be glad to, and the dang prizes given out could step up a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
exactly.
too.
Yeah. Well, if you win, Tim, you don't tell me because I'd be tempted to get you to give me money. So how that goes. So,
1.5 billion, John. You can get
there
paid.
you go. Everybody gets paid.
You've been friends for a long time.
I'm just gonna give money to everybody in the live chat. There we go.
There we go.
You guys, here you go. Here's $5.
Everybody who showed up tonight, you're going to be good. If you ever contributed.
Exactly.
But it's fun to talk about.
It is.
It is fun to talk about. But, investments are, so, and I keep telling everybody now is still a good time to buy. I did buy some ETFs and home heating oil pretty hard
That's
a couple weeks ago.
Good one to hit.
It's already almost doubled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for that to quadruple and sell this winter. There's a lot of stuff. Have you heard about the diesel? They're
Yes.
saying there's only a couple of weeks left of it. It's crazy. So still living in weird times, but there's still a lot of good deals out there. So be wise with your money.
Yeah.
But
The one thing
invest
that's
more than you can afford to lose.
Absolutely. The one thing that's really hurting right now is tech over across the board for sure. So I mean, if
But
you're
it's a good
invested in
time
tech,
to buy.
yeah, exactly. Now's a really good time to buy. We expect. I mean, and this is. I mean, say we expect. Like analysts is probably the best way to say it. Analysts expect that's going to go up. I think we all expect for it to
Yeah.
go up, and so it's just a matter of time. And so if you buy now when it's low, good chance you're going to be able to recoup your investments. Tim, one of the stocks that I'm in, everybody knows, is Dave & Buster's, which I also went to when I was, like I mentioned earlier. And Wall Street Bets and some of those places really like to pump that stock for some reason. But here's the thing: it's really a good company. Golly, Dave & Buster's makes money.
They bought Main Event.
Yeah, they bought Main Event, just to show you. So I mean, they're smart. They know how to manage money. I think they're going to be good going forward. But now's probably not the right time to buy. It's probably going to drop again, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And probably, I
Keep
think,
an eye on it, though.
I think whatever this quarter is, when they report earnings, it's probably going to be down because of Christmas. And so it may be a good time to buy after earnings come out, because I expect it'll probably dip. I could be wrong, but I mean, that's just a guess.
What is it now?
30-something.
30-something. If
30-something.
it goes below 30?
Yeah, if it goes below 30, you should buy.
Buy, yeah.
So, you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, let's talk about sports.
All right.
Okay, Cowboys
Yeah.
doing good. Only one team has scored 49 points in a game this season, Tim.
Yeah,
Who's that
that's right.
team?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Who's that team?
That's it.
Yeah, who that? Okay. Not to steal a line from the
Right.
Saints, but there you go. Yes, the Cowboys are doing really well. We're very proud of the Cowboys, but we're still only second in the division, third in
That's
the
right.
division, third, right?
Third.
Yeah, because the Giants,
game.
the Giants are ahead of us and the Eagles are ahead of us, who are playing right now on Thursday Night Football that nobody watches. So we're glad you're watching us instead of Thursday Night Football. I know you have choices to watch Amazon Prime or something like that, but you want to be here instead, I promise. So the Eagles are going to take them handily, I think
so.
So I mean, but
Won't cry if they don't.
that's right. So our team is pretty solid right now. Our defense is great. You can't say enough good things about Micah Parsons, Tim. Can't say enough. You know what I'm saying? That man is a beast. So,
But man, he's not the only person getting sacked.
Sure.
It is a sack team.
Marcus Lawrence?
Yeah, Marcus Lawrence, and there's just people coming out. People I didn't even know play for us. I was like, who's this guy? Where'd he come from? He's getting a sack, fumble recovery. Then
our defensive coordinator,
in.
what's his name? That came from. He was with the Seahawks for a long time.
Man, I'm embarrassed.
I can't think of his name at the moment, but he's awesome. So
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
is.
he's really good. I kind of wish he was the head coach instead of Mike McCarthy. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But hey, we're winning. Things are good. As long as we're winning, things here in Texas are awesome. Because like the entire state of Texas pulls for the Cowboys.
Right.
People don't care about the Texans. For the most part.
And my college team is actually not as embarrassing as they were.
That's true.
They're starting to play a little better. They
Yeah.
got their quarterback back. It made a difference.
Yeah.
Made a lot of difference. But it's not, it's a rebuild year. But I think it's helping. They're definitely playing a little better. Defense playing a lot better.
Sure.
So that helps. Good defense.
Yeah.
Any surprises in the league? That I think Philadelphia being undefeated is
That
pretty
is.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but
surprise.
they're good.
They are good.
Okay, their offense is middling. It's not great, but their defense is good. Okay, and their offense is better. Their offense is as
Jalen
good or
Hurts is
better
pretty
than
good.
ours. I was
Yeah.
about to say it's
Right.
as good or better than ours. Their
Which is-
defense is as good and probably better than ours. I mean, that's why they are undefeated. They are a good team.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny it. It's good. So, congratulations to Philadelphia Eagles fans. See, I know Philadelphia fans are not as kind to us as we are to them.
I did not
sometimes.
know this, John, but Turpin, who everybody roots for to run the kickoff back for Dallas, is from Neville High School in Monroe, Louisiana.
Oh, there you go.
And he is going to be back there signing autographs and stuff. So if you're in the Monroe, Louisiana area, I know that they have a special event planned. But what a great story. I love to watch him play. What an exciting player. I want to see him play offense more. I'd like to see him play the slot or kind of do a Cole Beasley out there, Well, I don't know why they don't give him the ball
Tim,
more.
the only frustrating thing is that, in the offseason, we kind of cut Amari Cooper. We
Yes.
could have kept him on our team. We could have cut him. He's a top 10 receiver right now.
Yes.
And the reason they cut him was not because the coaching staff. It was because the Joneses didn't like the way he handled the COVID protocols and all that kind of stuff. You know
That's
that,
silly.
right?
I
And
did
it's
not
silly.
know that.
It's silly. They should have kept him. If they would have kept him right now, we would be the offense would be way better because we really need a third receiver that's really good.
We
and
do.
with him on the team, it would have been that third receiver. But anyway. Okay, are we done? Oh, talk about that butt kicking that Oklahoma State took last weekend. Did you see that coming from K-State, Tim?
Yes, that was shocking. Oklahoma State was in the top 10, number 9 or something, and got blown out. That was crazy. I don't know what happened there. Everybody kind of has one of those games very often, but not normally Oklahoma State. They're always good on defense.
Right.
Not defense. Their offense might sputter sometimes, but that was shocking. Lot of talk about Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And does he deserve maybe an Auburn job or somewhat a bigger job? Why did Florida State turn him down?
Right.
He runs a pretty good program. Coach Prime's a good coach. I love to watch him with his players and how they respond to him and stuff like that. Undefeated? 8-0.
Yeah.
Jackson State.
Maybe.
So they're a good team. I think it's going to be interesting bowl season and see how that plays out. Tennessee, I'm loving right now. Tennessee's good. Tennessee's probably who I'm going to root for. If I ain't got a team and a dog in a fight, I'm going to pick a new dog.
Agreed.
So Tennessee, I really like the way
I know
they're playing
they're not
right
quite
now.
the same color orange, but it's okay.
So some good games going on. Are you watching the World Series?
So, Delusional just said that no one is watching the World Series. Sad. So, I have tuned into some of the games, but right now I'm kind of preoccupied with Mavericks basketball and Stars hockey. I will be honest with you, but I am rooting for the Phillies because I'm still not a Houston. I still haven't recovered from them doing the whole thing.
Yeah,
they did with the trash cans.
Bang a drum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look, we have a lot of friends that are in Houston. Love the Houston Astros. More power to you guys.
It's hard to root against anybody from Texas, especially Philadelphia.
But here's the thing about the Astros is that they are our rival. I am a Rangers fan.
Right.
Okay, I am a Texas Rangers fan through and through, and so they are our rival.
Right.
And so I typically root against them anyway.
Well, for them, we wouldn't have ever had.
And the Phillies are like they are a 1 in a million shot. They are the Cinderella.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? And so I like to root for underdogs. Tim, you know this. I'm an underdog guy, and so I want to root for the underdog. The underdog is the Phillies. I'm rooting for the Phillies. Tim,
but the Astros did something nobody's ever done before last night.
What?
They threw a no-hitter with 3 or 4 pitchers?
That ain't no-hitter. If it ain't one pitcher, I don't care about that stat. Combined no-hitter is not a stat. Is that controversial? That's my hot take.
Never happened.
This is my hot take.
That's a lot of World Series, though.
Yeah. You know who threw a no-hitter in the World Series?
That's right.
I think his name is Roy Halladay.
That's
Remember
right.
that guy?
Yeah.
So
come back and brag.
Combined no-hitter is not a stat. Hot take of the day.
I knew I'd get him fired up.
Yeah, exactly. That's my Stephen Stephen A. Smith's right there.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
A combined no-hitter is not a stat. Okay, that doesn't count. Doesn't count. I ain't counting that. Okay, so, their pitchers were good. Okay, and I understand combined no-hitter, but a combined no-hitter just means that if you want a no-hitter, you got to pitch the whole game. Nolan Ryan. Combined no-hitter.
So how are the Mavericks doing?
Okay, they're doing good. Sorry. I'm getting all fired up about combined no-hitters. They are doing okay. They have Luka has not played well. Our outside shooting has not been good. Right. But we're in it and we're fine. Okay. Have you seen the Luka 1 shoe?
No.
Have you seen his Jordan Brand shoe?
I haven't seen it.
Sharp. I think I'm going to try to get me some.
I think you
Luka 1.
Yeah?
They got them down at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay, you're not going to get any Yeezys or whatever they're called.
No! No.
You won't find them anymore.
Dallas Mavericks through and through, and Luka's the man. Golly, that guy is good. If you guys, I don't care. If you're a basketball fan, you need to watch it out. If the Dallas Mavericks come to your team and play, watch Luka. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to do. That guy is amazing.
He is amazing.
He is amazing. He's probably one of the best 3 players in basketball right now.
I think so.
I think so. Top 3. So anyway, let's go on here. Geeklight 08, Jonathan, does your company use AWS? Me and my wife are rolling on the floor. Nobody watches Thursday Night Football. Nobody watches Thursday Night Football. I don't watch Thursday Night Football.
We protest.
Yeah, exactly. What is that? And the problem is that the old people can't figure it out, and the young people just don't care. Right. So, between the two of our groups, that's it. So, yes, we do. We have used AWS in the past. We have moved away from that and moved more to Azure, which is the Microsoft cloud platform. We still use AWS for some things, to answer your question. And I like both platforms, but I do prefer Azure myself. And I am a certified Azure professional. Okay. Is that a good way to say that? I'm certified in some of their stuff.
And I'm over here thinking I use Word and Excel.
That's right.
So
Azure is Microsoft's cloud IT infrastructure.
Good
so
question.
You can run servers and things like that.
Good question. I know nothing about.
Yeah. So let's talk about XFL before we get on to more of these questions, guys.
Okay.
So I'm excited. Okay, you and me. The last sporting event we went to before COVID was an XFL game.
The same team.
Same team. Well, it's
I can wear my shirt again.
Arlington Renegades.
Okay,
it was the Dallas Renegades.
Okay, yeah, just says Renegades.
Yeah,
Oh,
crash it.
good enough.
Yeah, scratch it out. Same logo and everything. Same coach. Bob
Yay.
Stoops. So
That's
and
my boy.
exactly, Bob Stoops, of course, was with Oklahoma for 20 years.
the greatest coach ever in Oklahoma.
So I heard an interview with him, and he's all in. They asked him if he had met The Rock, and he said he had. So he had met The Rock, and that he was very nice and a good guy, and was excited about the team. They're going to do the draft, I think, on Friday, maybe tomorrow. So the draft is coming up soon, because that's how the XFL teams get their players. They have to go through the draft, and so like every team gets to pick all the players of the draft. So I don't know what their draft board looks like and who they're going to go with first. Tim, I think if you're putting together a football team from scratch, I think the two types of players I'm looking for is, of course, a quarterback and a really good offensive line. I'll fill in the rest of the gaps later, but I think those are the two most important things. What do you think? So hopefully Bob Stoops is going to go that way. I don't know if he's going to go defensive player first or what. Tim, are you up for going to another XFL
we gotta
game?
go.
Yeah, I was about to say we gotta go.
It's a given.
That's right. So even if what's his name, who used to play for Oklahoma last time, threw like 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions.
Oh gosh,
what was his name? Golly,
Jones.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
Landry.
Yeah, Landry Jones. That's right.
I'd be surprised Landry still plays.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I don't know we don't know who the players will be. They'll find out once they do the draft. But I think we're gonna go to a game. It's cheap. It's like $20 a ticket, something like that. It's really cheap and it's fun.
Fun.
And they had you got to meet
Russell Maryland.
Yeah, I was about to say they have former NFL players there that usually sign autographs and stuff. If you want to take your kids to a game, I think that's great because it's cheaper than going to a Cowboy game. A Cowboy game costs you arm and leg,
right?
Or a kid. This you can do. You can get food and tickets and everything for like $120. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a pretty good deal considering all the entertainment you're getting, and you get to take your kids to a professional football game.
Yep, awesome.
Yeah. So we'll be back. We're Renegades fans.
What questions we got?
Let's see what else we got here. Delusional. How about Raj Chastain's epic wall riding maneuver in NASCAR? When interviewed, he said that he used to play Daytona USA on the Saturn and went all the way all the time, and always wanted to try it in real life. Yeah,
wow.
I did not see
hear
this.
that.
No,
That's
I did
awesome.
not see this. And me and Tim, we followed NASCAR in the past. We're not big followers now. We got to meet. We went to a NASCAR event together.
Yes.
Texas Motor Speedway
Been
here.
a while.
So, but
Kyle Busch
you
was
got to
our-
meet Kyle Busch. I still have his signed hat up there, Tim. You see it?
Played Xbox with Kyle Busch.
That's
He
right.
was playing.
So yeah, we got to meet Kyle Busch, and that was, I mean, it was a cool event. So
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I'll go
Everybody
back at
hates
some
Kyle
point.
Busch over there.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a nice guy. He
We
was
liked
nice.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
He was all right.
It's amazing how we get these rivalries in our head and we hate the other
It's like
person.
a heel,
exactly.
in wrestling
right.
or something.
Exactly. So. Let's see. Michael, talking about rooting for teams of the same state. I graduated from University of South Carolina. Clemson is also in South Carolina, so my second favorite team is whoever's playing Clemson. One of the coolest things I ever saw was the Dallas. I think this was last year in the playoffs, and the Dallas Stars were playing the Vancouver. Vancouver, and there was like a Canucks fan there, and they just held up a sign that said anybody but Vancouver. They had their jersey on. So I kind of feel like going in a Rangers jersey and holding up anybody but the Astros.
Right.
and
the Yankees.
And the Yankees. Anybody but the
And
Astros
the kid
and the
next
Yankees.
door.
That's right. So, but there you go.
Well, big talk is that we're in the running for a pretty big player.
That's true.
From the Yankees.
Yeah,
He's a free agent. I don't
that's not gonna happen.
think he'll get re-signed.
Yeah. So Aaron Judge, that was cool that I think we talked about that last time, that he hit the ball here. His record-breaking ball for the American.
Somebody in Texas retired that
Yeah,
night.
that guy was a finance somebody, and he was married to a local TV person.
reporter?
Yeah, I saw that. So
He's
anyway.
retired now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let us continue on here, Tim. I think we're at a movie and TV talk.
Okay,
So let's do that real quick. So you said you went to the movies.
I went to the movies.
When we were in the regular live show. So, I mean,
Well,
what'd you see?
my wife, actually, we had a friend in from town, and so her and my wife and me, they wanted to go to the movies, and we went and saw Ticket to Paradise. And it definitely is more of a chick flick than the guys thing, but
So
you know
this
what?
was Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts, George Clooney.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. It was funny. We laughed. It was a laugh out loud.
Watch it at home now.
Really? It's probably already on there.
I think it's on demand now.
There's a lot like that.
Yeah.
I just saw, what did I just see that was like that? Black Phone?
Yeah, Black Phone. Yep.
I saw a couple movies that were still at the theater. But Ticket to Paradise was definitely funny. I think if you like romantic comedies, it was funny, and they played a good couple. They're an ex-married couple. They're divorced. They've been divorced for years.
Okay.
And their kid, all of a sudden, on a whim, decides to get married right away. It's kind of like one of these shows we see. And they're going there to talk them out of it is the jest. And, of course, their banter and stuff is what makes it very, very funny. Yeah. It's funny. And so, anyway, enjoyed watching that.
Okay. One thing that I have not watched yet, and I think it just released today, is the new Blockbuster show on Netflix. Have you seen this? So I think that came out today. So we will be watching that probably tonight. It is a sitcom that takes place in the last Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
And it looks really funny.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. Now, you also sent over a TV show you're watching, Tim?
Yes. Have you seen this before? A lot of people watch it.
I have heard so many good things and never watched it.
Yeah, and I was just like, I needed something new to watch, and I'm kind of looking for something that had more than 2 or 3 seasons that I could watch an episode a night and just drag it out for a little while. Blacklist just come out with its 9th season. I'd never seen one episode. So I started watching it from the beginning. And I'm probably watching every night an episode or 2, and I'm still only in season 2, about the middle.
Oh my goodness!
And it's going to take a long time, which I like.
I've heard good things. What is your opinion?
If you like, I know you like 24.
I am a huge fan.
I know that you would like it. Okay. I know that you would definitely like it. And James Spader is so good.
He is a good actor. He's a good actor. Period.
If you're a big fan of that, and there's a lot. It's kind of like you could watch any individual episode, but then there's the long backstory that you can kind of keep up with.
So is it a procedural with a little bit of a backstory? So something like CSI?
Yeah, it's kind of like CSI. Well, the gist of the whole thing is he is a mega mind criminal that decides, hey, I want to turn for immunity. I will help you bust. He's kind of like, okay, I might be a thief and I might have made millions, but I'm not a terrorist. I'm not killing people and, taking down the world towers and stuff. So he's like,
he's Hans Gruber.
Yeah, I will help you if you give me immunity, but I will only work with one person. And it's her first day on the job. And so you got to figure out, why did he choose her? What is it about her? And that's where the backstory comes in. How are they connected? And then, each episode is a new case. And they're always, it's funny. It's kind of cheesy in some points. Like today they were going to talk on The Mentalist. And it's a guy that does, and you're like, how are there so many? And they're taking down all these big criminals each episode. So they're going after.
It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. I know it's NBC. It was an NBC show.
It's on Netflix, all 9 seasons. So anyway, if you like a crime drama with a good backstory that keeps you guessing at who each character is, how they fit in her life. So can you imagine her first day? She's a profiler. She gets a new job, and the world's number one FBI most wanted guy says, I want to talk to you.
Wow.
And he begins to tell her secrets and stuff, and he knows stuff that just like, how does he know all this? Because he's a master criminal, and that's what he does. So
there you go.
Interesting.
Okay. I may have to watch it too.
Yeah, I think you would definitely like it. Know that it is 9 seasons, and that each episode is about 45 minutes long.
There you go.
So it's a good show to watch one episode a night. It's going to drag out forever, and then you can have your filler shows. So it's my main show right now. I'll be watching it next month.
I have heard so many good things. I've just never watched it. So.
You love 24 and those kind of shows. You're going to like it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's talk about what I've been watching then. Anything else? You got anything else? Okay. We talked about She-Hulk earlier when Delusional said that.
I still want to watch that.
We watched it all, and it was fantastic. So, I know when you think of Deadpool, you think about fourth wall breaking, where we're addressing the camera during all this. She-Hulk does that to the extreme, I feel like. And man, the finale is very meta in the way that it goes down too. So, I mean, it is. And some people, the finale was like a deal breaker for them. For me, it was like the icing on top of the big cake that was the show.
Wow.
So, I mean, it just depends on...
Will there be a new episode?
There definitely can be. It is expensive to make.
Yeah.
Lots of CGI. So, She-Hulk, the character, is a completely CGI character.
Like Hulk.
Like Hulk.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine what the bill was for the CGI part of it. It had to be expensive. There's not that many episodes.
Okay.
But I loved it. And so you should watch it.
Season 2 gets released. Cobra Kai gets released. Which one you watching?
Cobra Kai.
Okay.
Cobra Kai is my number one.
All right. But
it's up there.
But right after you got through binge watching Cobra Kai, you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'd be right there. So I would stop. Cobra. I know. I
Cobra
feel
Kai's like take a day off of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And just watch.
Blockbuster is going to be like that for me though. I think it's going to be like my next Cobra Kai on Netflix. So, She-Hulk is just good. It's funny. It's lighthearted. You can watch it with your wife. She'll like it too.
Okay,
kind of thing.
Good. That's a plus.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife liked it, and I did the survey. I'm a Disney Plus fan, community survey person, and so I did the survey on it, and I gave it high marks across the board.
Awesome.
So highly recommend it. Also in the Marvel Universe on Disney Plus right now is Werewolf by Night. Now I know it's already past Halloween. This was more of a Halloween thing. Werewolf by Night is part of the MCU, okay?
Okay.
Kind of tangentially right now. It may connect more later. But it is basically you have all these monster hunters and they're going hunting these monsters. And I don't want to give away too much, but it is done in the style of classic Universal monster movies. Black and white.
Okay.
So if you're a fan of like the old Frankenstein and the Mummy and like all of those old classic Universal movie monster things, you will love this because the style is the same. So you will really like it if you like that style. I'm a huge Young Frankenstein fan, which also cops a lot from that style. So if you like that horror, and here's the thing, like when they show the monster transforming, they only show his shadow. They don't show like the monster transformation. Okay. When you see him attacking people, you just see like a woman and her face is like, and then you just see all these shadows of him like beating up people and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind, and it's all black and white, so it's giving us that same feel. But it's copying the feel of classic Universal monster movies, and I really enjoyed it. It's only an hour long. Straight up hour, and it's very
just
good.
one show.
One show, 1 hour.
Okay.
That's all you got. And watch it if you like that kind of stuff. I'm watching the second season of The Vow on HBO Max, which is about the cult that is NXIVM and the leader, Keith Raniere.
That looks it.
The second season kind of flips the script. In the first season, we talked about how this thing's a cult and how it's terrible. In the second season, they interview all the people who still like it.
Okay.
And didn't think it was a cult. And I love that. It's like, okay, here's the side, they're giving us both sides. Here's the side that says this thing's a cult and it's awful and nobody should ever be involved in it. And then here's the side of people who think it was great and it helped them.
Interesting.
And it was and here's the thing. Kind of like we talked about with the Mike thing he says at the end. We're not all one thing. Right. And this thing was not all one thing.
Right.
There were good things about it and there were terrible things about it. Okay?
Good.
The guy who Keith Raniere that's in jail or that's on trial, right? Or was on trial during this. They're covering his trial throughout the second season. He should go to jail. He did bad things. Some of the things he came up with, though, were pretty smart. You know, I mean, so it's kind of a balancing act, right?
I get you.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to say the terrible things were so terrible, he should go to jail. But some of the stuff he came up with actually helps people, you know? So it's kind of, I mean, you got to balance that, right? So, but he should still go to jail for the bad stuff he did. That doesn't excuse him. Just because he helped people some people, doesn't mean that he shouldn't go to jail for the bad stuff he did, right? Doesn't excuse it. You can do all the good in the world, but if you do something bad and it's worthy to go to jail, you should still go to jail. You know, I mean, it's like you did something bad, you should go to jail. So kind of thing. So anyway, Omega Mark says not a fan of She-Hulk at all. It's not for everybody. If you like the fourth wall breaking, where she's directly addressing the camera and all that kind of stuff, you'll like it. But if you don't like that, you will not like it.
Okay.
So I mean, it is
a little over the top.
It can be polarizing that way.
Okay.
I'm watching the Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Apparently, I've been watching a lot of Disney Plus lately. Which is the second season, and Emilio Estevez was not in this season because he had an issue with the COVID protocols apparently.
Okay.
And so they had to rewrite it all, and it kind of shows. And all the kids are kind of more grown up than they were like last season, but still enjoying it. It's goofy, it's corny, and I love it. Abbott Elementary on ABC is really good. You should watch that. I'm not going to say anything else about Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
Okay, you should be watching.
I want to see that.
You should be watching this,
especially with
it's funny.
Second grade teacher in mind.
Yeah, exactly. If you got teachers, you should watch this. It's about teachers in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, I think. So somewhere in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure if it's specifically Philadelphia, but somewhere like that. And of course, I've been watching Ghost on CBS. Tim, have you seen Ghost?
No.
On CBS? You should be watching Ghost. Oh my goodness, it's good. So Ghost is about this couple. They buy this haunted house, and the wife can see these ghosts that live in the house, but the husband can't.
Okay.
And so it's all the stories about what goes on with her communication with these ghosts and not him.
I didn't list it, but I did start watching The Watcher too.
Okay, so what's The Watcher?
The Watcher is on Netflix, and it says it's based on a true story.
Okay.
And it's about a couple that they find this house, kind of like in the Hamptons out of New York, an hour drive from the city. And they decide, we're going to buy it, and it's really expensive. And they're like, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to sell all of our stocks, mortgage, whatever, as long as we can get in the house.
Right.
And it's a monster mansion of a house. And constantly, though, their neighbors and people are telling them, they get these letters, we're watching you, and stuff. And it's some other creepy stuff. And so it's kind of it says it's based on a true story, and it kind of has a haunted house type theme. What happened here, what's going on. I've only watched 2 episodes. But so far, it seems really interesting and kind of good, and I like the theme of it. But it also, shows they got a little greedy and got a house more than they could afford, so they're kind of struggling, and there's some things with that. It looks like it could be very good. It may end up horrible, but I'll tell you more after I watch some more.
Gotcha. I will say that I watched The Pentaveret with Mike Myers.
Oh, yeah.
I got through 3 episodes and couldn't take it anymore. So it's goofy. Mike Myers is usually goofy.
Right.
But it was maybe more goofy than usual. So I mean, you may like it. You can watch it. Pentaveret. So before we go though, Tim, Omega Mark asks, what are some of your favorite movies of all time?
All time. Of course, Star Wars.
Love Star Wars.
Yeah. Shawshank Redemption is one of those movies that every time it comes on, I start watching it again.
Yep.
And I could probably know almost every line in it. So it's hard to beat any Star Wars movie for us. But that's one movie that I like. And then I'm really old school. I like Where the Wyvern Grows. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Here's some. I mentioned
Sandlot is one of my favorite movies.
Well, Sandlot is a good movie. I know people get it's one of those movies that people give a lot of gruff to because it's like you had to be of a certain age when you saw the Sandlot in order to really see it.
I like Stand By Me.
Tex JYT said he just finished The Watcher. It started out great, but was very disappointed in the end.
That's what I'm worried about.
So,
it has that feel like it could be great, but I'm a little worried it might not.
I'm looking through my list here of my favorite movies. So I love The Karate Kid. I think that's already been made. All of those movies. Rocky.
The original.
I love Rockies. So I was going to try to find some that kind of... Secondhand Lions is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I like that movie.
So if you have not seen Secondhand Lions, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love the structure of the storytelling. I like everything about it.
I was just trying to think, what movie is it that comes on, and I've seen it 100 times.
Oh, this is something I told you to watch a long time ago that you watched and you said was great. Tucker, A Man and His Dream.
Yep.
If you have not seen Tucker, A Man and His Dream, you should go look it up right now and watch it.
Yep.
Because it has, what's his name in it, Tim? Jeff Bridges, which we love Jeff Bridges anyway.
Yes, and Pursuit of Happiness is one of my favorite movies.
Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith is fantastic.
Every time I watch it, I want to invent something or start a business.
Yeah. Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
Yes.
With Tim Allen.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Great. It's great.
Love that. So, I'm looking here. The Matrix.
Okay.
Maybe my favorite. The original, not anything else.
No.
The original Matrix.
Left it alone.
Exactly. Is one of my favorite movies.
I love Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I can't say I don't like it. It's funny. It's one of those I'll start watching on TV, and I'm trying to think of movies I'll just start watching over
Schindler's
and over.
List. I can't watch it all the time.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
But that movie is good.
Yeah.
Golly, I can't watch it all the time. It is heartbreaking as all get out. But golly, you want to talk about filmmaking, Tim?
Yeah.
Back to the Future, the whole trilogy.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch them all the time. I was trying to think of some. This one is one that you may not... I mean, it's kind of goofy, but have you seen Dear God with Greg Kinnear?
No.
You should watch that.
I don't think I have.
Let me read you the synopsis.
Okay.
When letters written to God start getting results and replies, people everywhere are amazed. The post office, however, is annoyed. And it's the story about these post office workers that decide that they're going to start trying to answer some of the Dear God letters that come into the post office.
Okay.
And it's got Greg Kinnear. It was made in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, it does sound like familiar. Maybe I've seen it.
Yes, I actually like that movie a lot. So,
okay.
Let's see. Major League The original one.
That's a great movie.
I love baseball movies. Oh, Matty Mo's Arcade, Galaxy Quest. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest is the best Star Trek movie. Hot take number 2. Hot take number 2. Galaxy Quest is the best Star Trek movie ever. So, don't watch the Star Trek movies. Watch Galaxy Quest. Way better. Let's see. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about that. Doc Hollywood.
Okay.
Okay. You seen it?
Yep.
Okay. Field of Dreams.
Yes.
Field of Dreams. Baseball fan. Can't help it. Somebody quoted this when we were cleaning up after the trunk or treat at church. My Cousin Vinny.
Yes.
Love that movie.
Love it.
Love that movie.
Yeah, it's funny.
Goonies.
Goonies. Can't miss the Goonies. A lot of 80s movies.
Quiz Show. Have you seen Quiz Show?
I have, but I don't remember. Now I'm trying to think of what. Yes. For the 23 questions or whatever.
That's it. Quiz Show. It won awards.
Oh, yeah.
You should watch Quiz Show.
Quiz Show is good.
It's fantastic. Trading Places.
Yes.
That may be Dan
that.
Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's best work. Man, Trading Places.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop.
I
Die Hard. And it's almost Die Hard season.
Yeah, it's almost.
Almost Die Hard season.
And it is a Christmas movie.
That's right.
Don't tell us it's not.
Okay. This was The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Love that movie. The Saint with Val Kilmer. Okay. I was talking to people the other day who had not seen this movie. The Saint is fantastic. Okay. With Val Kilmer. It's based on an old TV show and then a book before that. But watch The Saint with Val Kilmer. Somebody said The Money Pit. That's a good one, too.
That's a good one.
I'm just looking through my favorite movies here, just so you guys can see. I think that's everything. Hoosiers.
Oh,
maybe the best sports movie ever.
Maybe.
Okay. And I like sports movies.
Yeah,
Remember the Titans is good.
Well, what about Rudy? Can't miss Rudy.
Rudy is good, too. Golly, Rudy is good.
I do like, we both like sports movies a lot.
I'm a sucker for that. October Sky.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yes, October Sky. Let's see. I do have Rudy on here, Tim. So I'm looking through my list. Hoosiers is so good. Man, that movie, if it's on.
I was going to say, that's one that if it's on, I'm watching it, too.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray's, that may be one of Bill Murray's best. Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters, absolutely.
Sure.
Love those. So, Coming to America I have on here, Tim. The original, not the new one. The Rock.
Yeah.
Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
If it's on, Tim, we're watching it. And then sometimes you just like to watch bad movies like I do, Face Off. That is not a good movie. But it's like, anytime it's on, I gotta watch it. Right, exactly. I gotta watch it. So, I'm still looking through here. Okay, are we done? Con Air is very good as well. It is stupid. Okay, I understand it's stupid.
But I
watch it every time it's on. Nicolas Cage's accent is so bad.
Yeah. I love watching a good karate movie, though, too.
Yes, exactly.
You know? Taken? You can't.
Taken the entire time. The first one for sure. Like the speech, the speech is so iconic with.
Right.
Yeah. What's his
I
name?
will find you. William Neeson's going to tell him, I'll find you. I will get you. You know, it's like.
If it has Liam Neeson in it and he's kicking butt.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. I love every movie where Liam Neeson's in as an action star. And he's an old man.
Right.
But I just love those movies. I can't get enough of them. Liam Neeson, if it's got Liam Neeson, he's kicking somebody's butt, I'm in. So, same thing with Bruce Willis. I've seen so many bad Bruce Willis. My son's back there. I don't know what he's doing. So,
he's having a good time.
Omega Mark, here's something different, but one of my favorites. It's funny, never gets old. Cutting Edge is fantastic.
Yes.
The Cutting Edge is a really good movie. It has a winter theme, perfect for the holidays. Absolutely. Yep. So, okay, I think we're going to end it there.
Yeah, we're done.
I have listed all the movies that I know.
I got to drive home. I got work to do when I get home.
You have work to do?
Yeah, still got a little bit left to do.
Golly. Okay. Thanks, guys, for hanging out, talking movies. Next month, maybe in the after show, we'll do our favorite Christmas movies. Because you'll have all month to watch them. By the time you see us next time, I will have watched 2 Christmas movies that are brand new. A Christmas Story Christmas.
Okay.
Have you seen the trailer for this?
Looks good.
Yes,
Looks
A Christmas Story Christmas. That's going to be on HBO Max. That's right. I'm a huge Christmas Story fan. Love that. We'll talk about that, Tim. We're going to watch that. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
And Spirited on Apple Plus.
Okay. I don't have Apple
All I have to say, Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds. Go watch it.
Good.
So that's all I have to say. Okay, Last Starfighter, Tim.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see. Okay, we're done.
Yeah, we got to go.
We're out.
Good night,
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Remember to like and subscribe. There we go.
It'll be our new end of the show.
Exactly. So y'all have a good night. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Out.